The struggles continue over at our favorite publisher. Ubisoft is in the spotlight once again, and just like always, it's not shining. Let's talk about it. Good morning, evening, or afternoon. What's up, everyone, and welcome to the XP Podcast, episode 36 for the third week and the final week of January 2023. I'm your host, Mike C, and joining me, as always, is my co-host, the Birdman himself, Logan B.
What is up, everyone? Pretty excited to be back. I gotta say though, not had the greatest week or so, in my opinion. Been a lot of downs more than ups. Um, but in gaming news, there's been some ups, so we'll be getting into that pretty soon. But I just want to touch on a few things that happened to me this week. Uh, let's see. Last Friday, by the way, Mike, this is the thing I brought up before we started this. I was on my way to work. I was more than halfway there. I was like, I'm having a good day. Everything was good. Traffic was not that bad, in my opinion. And all of a sudden, I start hearing this really loud noise. And I'm going to sound like something was like revving up really loud. And I'm like, what is that? And all of a sudden, my front left tire just goes boom and just blows up, just explodes like randomly. And I'm like on the interstate, which by the way, if people live in Missouri know how 270 is, 270 is absolutely horrible. I was all the way in the far left lane, the fastest lane. And, in the mornings, even though I said traffic wasn't bad, it's still pretty bad. Like there's a lot of people people drive very, very fast. And I'm all the way in the far left lane. I had to get my car all the way over to the side with a completely popped tire that like was just obliterated by the time I barely made it all the way over to the entire other side of the road. And it sucked. That was a really crappy Friday. I spent pretty much all day waiting to get my car fixed. Not a good day at all. And then I've been pretty sick all day today too. So yeah, I mean, I guess. And then and Monday, same as Mike here. Monday we had an insanely bad ice storm, ice slash snowstorm. And yeah, that was also insanely bad. It's been extremely cold here in Missouri. It's also just been the roads were god awful. They definitely were not prepared. So again, as I said about 270 and how bad it is, yeah, times that by 5 with ice, it's just horrible because people are dumb. But other than that, I guess it's been a decent week, and soon when I talk about what I've been doing, I have some exciting news about gaming. So, other than that, Mike, how was your week?
Oh, not too bad. Finally got back into doing gaming more as like a part-time than every once in a while. I took a break there for the first couple weeks of January. Wasn't really feeling it. Just kind of sitting around watching some TV. But I put quite a bit of time into both the games I've been playing this week. Well, a lot of time into one game, a little bit of time into another game. But yeah, no, it's iced in currently. Walked outside this morning. Tried to see if I could shovel it. Nope, can't shovel ice. Should have known that, but I tried anyway. I gave it a valiant effort. But so they just sitting here in my house. Can't go anywhere. Can't go buy anything. Was planning on going to buy a laptop that Costco has on sale today. Or has on sale this week, so couldn't do that. I might go do it tomorrow. I don't know, but I've been looking for a new laptop for a while. And I found one that I kind of like. It's got a 12th gen i5 in it, 512 gigs SSD. It's only like $549, or $550. So it's a pretty good price for what I'm looking for to give me some good performance. And yeah, that's about it. So Haven't really done too much. Watched some more TV. Played a bunch of games. So, well, I only played 2 games, I guess. But so yeah, finally starting to get over the sickness I've been with. I've still been dragging around, man. I can't get over this thing. I don't know. Apparently, the cold is, the worst sickness in the world. It's the real pandemic out there. It's a common cold.
Yeah.
Hey, all jokes aside,
It-
there was a time where the common cold was like a death sentence, dude. Shit's wild if you think about it.
yeah.
How far we've come.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump on into this week's episode. This is going to be a very Ubisoft centric episode. Got quite a few things to talk about. The biggest story of the week will be us talking about what's going on over there at our favorite Canadian publisher. I guess they're French, but most of them are based out of Canada. But so with that, I wanted to start, as we always do, with a question, and this is a very simple question. What does it even mean anymore to be a Ubisoft game? Now, I know we make a lot of jokes and we make fun of them all the time here on the XP podcast, but I did want to take a little bit of seriousness and really break it down. What does it even mean to be a Ubisoft game, to come from this publisher who at one time, not all that long ago, was one of the shining examples of how to make AAA games. And the past half decade plus, we've seen them plummet into almost obscurity at this point. So I'll turn it over to you first, Logan. You've had a couple days to think about this since we did delay the recording of this episode. So what have you come up with about what it means to be a Ubisoft game?
2 words: padding and greed. That's basically what I take a Ubisoft game anymore. They find a way in some way or another to ruin just about each and every one of their franchises. And what makes a Ubisoft game anymore is just what can make us a ton of money by padding out the game and adding a ton of microtransactions, and then also just trying to stick to trends and try to jump on any bandwagon that will make them the most money, instead of actually focusing on making a good game with a good story and an interesting world.
Yeah, you kind of
Uh,
stumbled into one of the things I was going to talk about with the whole bandwagon. Is it just seems like, we get one game that, lights the world on fire and everyone loves it. And then we get another game, or the second game in that shorter genre, and people really like that, and it kind of challenges the first game. And then after a couple of years, Ubisoft comes out with their quote-unquote like type of game, and by that time, no one cares anymore, and they give up on their game almost immediately. The closest thing I have is, I think it was called Hyperspace, Hyperdrive. Was it Hyperspace?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I know you're talking about. Yeah,
Yeah, so they're FPS, like, what am I trying to, what's the genre called? Warzone.
Battle Royale.
Battle Royale. Thank you, Jesus.
Yeah,
My brain is slow today. But they try to come up with that. I know people enjoyed it for a while. At least they said there seemed to be promise here. And 2 weeks later, the game was pretty much done. And after a couple months, they just took it off. So I would say bandwagon, wholly inadequate design philosophy, just ancient design philosophy at this point, and they just give up on things all the time. And well, what does it mean to be a Ubisoft game anymore? I just think it means, I don't know. I think it means you're set up to fail in a way, not by the people who make the game, by the people who publish the game. I think, and we'll talk about it here in the story, they are so lost in the modern video game landscape of what to do and what people want. They're just throwing shit at a wall. And even the stuff that sticks, they let it run down to the very bottom before they do anything with it. So, I think the best thing that I can describe what it means to be a Ubisoft game is, I think it just means that you're lost. You don't know what you are, you don't know what you're going to be or what you need to be, because the people who are backing you don't know what it means to be a modern day AAA studios. a publisher anymore. And like I said, it sucks. We make fun of this company a lot here. A lot. We try to do it at least once every single episode. It's kind of like a gag we have. But, myself, DJ, Logan, to a small degree, but still a significant degree, I used to love Ubisoft games. I used to just look forward to every time they come out. Every once in a while, we would get a banger, but mostly I think they were swimming in the 7s and the 8s, and I was fine with that. I was fine with getting good to great games every once in a while, and then that shining star of an amazing game that would come out and just be like, yes, this is great. But, also I'd say that they don't know how to iterate on their stuff. They come out with a smash hit, and then they just keep making that same smash hit until people don't care anymore. People don't understand. Far Cry 3 was amazing. It's still known and thought of as one of the best, if not the shining example of the Ubisoft formula of an FPS open world game and how to do it right. Have we gotten anything truly iterative in the past decade since Far Cry 3 came out?
Not really. Because I don't even remember when that game came out. I was blown away. I loved Far Cry 3. And by the way, I did like Ubisoft quite a bit. I was a huge fan of them, a lot of their games, especially like Far Cry and all the Assassin's Creeds after the third one. I was a really big fan before that, which I know is a crime. But
it's a misdemeanor. It's a small crime,
yeah,
but
but it's I just it is honestly really insane to think about the fact that like they haven't really done, other than that. I mean, they have made bigger worlds with I guess they they really haven't. I feel like literally Far Cry 3 was their biggest innovation. And then after that, they just kind of copy and paste what everyone else does. Like when Witcher 3 came out, they're like, all right, look at that. Witcher 3. They did all these things. Let's put in our Assassin's Creed games. And then Far Cry, they're like, oh, Division's doing good. So let's make every game the Division, which is just insane. Like, why do they keep doing like they have all these different games for a reason. They have all these things that people love about each and every game because they're completely different. But now, even more so, what a Ubisoft game is now there is no difference. All their Ubisoft games all mold into this one thing, and it's bad. It's just bad because you're like, I mean, literally, like you had like Assassin's Creed, which was all about being stealthy, and it was really cool with awesome worlds and awesome gameplay, and just the stories were great. The worlds were very interesting. And then they, after Unity, which in my opinion I liked. I know it had problems. I know it had very bad technical problems at the beginning, but in my opinion, that's the last great Assassin's Creed game I've ever played. I actually really like that game, and that's because it's still kept to the same thing. And I feel like they did some cool innovations in that game, but then they've seen it fail. And this is another thing about Ubisoft. Ubisoft kind of reminds me of Netflix. When they know something's bad at the beginning, instead of fixing it or anything, they jump ship. They're like, all right, it's canceled. Let's go. Move on. Next thing.
Let me jump in real quick. I didn't put this on the stories or anything like that, but I read something, I think it was probably last week or sometime. Apparently, Netflix has said that they have, based off their data, never canceled a successful show.
I heard Inside Job was pretty good, and that got canceled.
Well, so, I not good, successful. So that means like it made them money on the site, like they got their investment back. So, and again, we don't know whether that's true or not. It probably is true to a degree because like they have the numbers and they spend the money. So I have no clue what this stuff costs, but I don't know. Maybe spend less money on things. I don't know what to tell you guys over there. But yeah,
that's true.
I just don't.
Yeah,
I just don't know, man. Like they just.
Yeah.
I keep holding out hope. I'll say I don't like Unity. I've played through it recently, and I think the story sucks. I think the traversal is really awesome, and the world
is pretty awesome.
Yeah, the world design is really great. But I will say I had a lot of hope for the series when it bounced back, in my eyes, with Origins. I really enjoyed Origins. It was definitely not as much The Witcher as it's become. You know, you can beat Origins in 30 hours if you go through the story and you go through the different things. Like, again, I I put over 100 hours, or just at 100 hours into Valhalla and never beat the game. And I wasn't even really doing that much side questing. I was exploring a little bit, but I wasn't getting lost and doing everything. So, but it doesn't matter, neither here nor there. It's, you know, that's a perfect example of they tried something new. People liked Origins. They said, "All right, cool. Now let's run this into the ground." Now, it's like they they do every couple years something good, and then they run it into the ground, and then they try again later, and it's
Yeah,
like,
like Far Cry. They had Far Cry 3. Far Cry 4 was okay. Far Cry 5 was, I think, did very well. And then Far Cry 6 came out. And it's like,
you're
what
forgetting
even is
about
this?
you're forgetting about Primal and New Dawn.
Oh, okay. I'm not talking about those
Hey,
stupid games.
fuck no, Far Cry Primal is cool as shit. I think that was the most innovative game because of the design of the game. You know, yes, the map was the exact same as Far Cry 4. Yeah, cool, don't care. But like the fact that, I don't know, it's just really cool. The setting, the weapon types, the fact that there wasn't a single line of English dialogue in the entire game. It was all a made up language or based off some historical language. I don't know. It just felt really. It felt as unique as a Far Cry game could get, and I thought maybe they stumbled into something, but there was the one time they didn't run that into the ground. So I guess it's good. I still have Primal, but I really like Primal. I like Primal a lot.
I just don't. I got really bored of it real quick. It's just because it's like just basically a bare bones Far Cry with like way less stuff. It's like, hey, I mean, that's the point. It is the point. It's obviously primal. It's like way, way back. It's not supposed to have guns. It's not supposed to have anything but bows and and all that. And I did kind of like the whole animal system, but they brought that into Far Cry 5, and they've had that since Far Cry 2. So that wasn't like super innovative, but I mean Far Cry 5 was the last one I liked. I really liked Far Cry 5. Other than, I mean, there was a part of it that wasn't great. There's like one part of the map I just didn't care about. I didn't care for the storyline. But I liked Far Cry 5 a lot, and I thought they had something there. They still had the map editor. They had a good, fun story. They brought multiplayer back to like the good old Far Cry 2 days, and it was awesome. Everyone loved it. There was a great map editor community out there. And then they came out Far Cry 6 and just cut that all down. They took it all away. They're like, I mean, literally, a map editor has been in Far Cry since the first game. And then they took it away in the sixth one because of, oh, we're focusing on this game to make it better. And in my opinion, it's the worst one. I think it's probably worse than New Dawn, in my opinion. Um, but yeah, it just makes me mad. It's the same thing from Ghost Recon. They brought Ghost Recon back with Wildlands, and I thought that game was great. I loved it. I had so much fun with that game. And then they brought Breakpoint out, and they basically just made Breakpoint Division 2 point whatever. I don't even know. Like, it was basically the Division, because now they all focus on the same thing. It's all about rarity of your gear and rarity of this. It's gross. Yeah, it's just, that's my problem. It's like all the Ubisoft games become into this one thing. All of them are the exact same now. Like, you play Valhalla, it's all about rarity and certain things. When Breakpoint came out, it's all about rarity and whatever your gear was. Division, the whole point of the game is about being rarity, and that's the point of Division. The Division was made that way on purpose, but then they made every other game the same way as that. It's so dumb. I hate that crap. But now I'm just going on a rant.
Yeah.
But so
Speaking of loot rarity and all the stuff that you love in video games, did you see that screenshot from Suicide Squad killed the Justice League?
yep, and Battle Pass being in there.
Well, the battle pass, I don't really care about the battle pass. Like, if it's all cosmetics, I don't care. You don't have to buy the battle pass. But there were 6 fucking currencies on that screen.
Yeah.
Why do you need 6 currencies in a single player co-op video game? Like, the battle pass, I think people are blowing a little bit out of proportion. Like, if it is just cosmetics and things like that, you don't have to buy the battle pass. Like, that's just an option for you. But the design philosophy of the idea of having 6 different currencies, to me, doesn't really spell anything great or foreshadow anything great from a game that, from the outside, looks like it could be fun. I'm not as sold on the combat as other people out there. I mean, I've been listening to people say, "Oh yeah, the combat looks absolutely insanely good." I'm like, "Does it really?" I mean, it looks like there's a lot going on, but it doesn't make it like good. I don't know. I'm not as
Yeah,
high
no,
on this game as other people are.
I was never sold on it, but I was interested in it because of the fact that it was Rocksteady. And now that like the more and more I've seen about it, which I mean, I already was very worried at the beginning, especially when they showed off the combat against the enemies, because the enemies looked exactly the fucking same as the Avengers ones, where it's a bunch of robots and stuff. It's just like very basic enemy design is what we're getting, and I'm sure it's going to be a lot of basic enemy designs that you fight throughout the game, and then you fight a boss, and then a bunch of random grunt enemies again, and then a boss, and it's probably going to be the exact same as the Avengers game, and that's why I don't really have a ton of faith in it, and it makes me mad because the corporate greed of that company and Warner Bros. In general putting their nose into this game and ruining it is like it's just now like Rocksteady's going to be another shitty publisher now. Like it seems like every good publisher or not publisher, any game development studio now that has a high standard ends up getting hit with a ton of corporate greed to the point where it ruins them and then they become a lesser, you know, thing now. It's so dumb.
Shit.
Now I'm just basically waiting for the day when the next studio is going to become worse, the next great studio. You know, it's dumb. I hate this. Like I hate that literally every corporate thing is ruining all these studios with like, oh, we got to put in all these currencies and stuff to make more money. You know what like EA's starting to learn it now. EA's learned. They're like, okay, let's start putting out these single player games. It's kind of funny. Literally EA is coming back now and bringing out all these single player games that are great without all these microtransactions. It's like you would think all these other companies like, oh, the corporate greed, the big greedy company is doing this now. Maybe we all should do the same thing. Nope, they're all like, let's stick to the greed, guys. Let's all add like 7 different currencies to our game so that people will have to grind to get to different levels. Ugh.
Hey, I don't want to pat
Again,
myself on the back, but I've been telling you for a while, EA isn't as bad as they used to be. Nowhere near.
hey,
This,
if they keep doing this Dead Space thing, dude, that's gonna be awesome. I kind of hope they keep it going. I hope they come out with Dead Space 2, and I also a lot of people have a lot of hope that maybe they'll bring Dead Space 3 and actually make it original, and that'd be kind of cool. I think that'd be sick if they did that. I don't know if they'll do it, but it would be really cool. It just depends on sales. You know, EA's all about sales. So if that game doesn't do well, which I'm sure the first one is doing well right now, it depends on the second one. If that doesn't do well, then they're not going to make a third one.
yeah.
So
I don't know if I want a remake of the second one. I'm thinking I just want something new. Just make a new Dead Space. It,
I mean,
you,
that'd be cool.
yeah, you just prove that the franchise has legs if it is indeed selling as well as I think it should be, at least. I don't know, but I'm really enjoying it. We'll get into that here in a sec. But maybe just come up with something new. Like, if this game does sell well, it's proof that the franchise and the name has legs and people are willing to, put the money into it. Now, tuck yourself away for 3 to 4 years and come up with something brand new. That's what I want to
Yeah,
see.
I'm
But
I'm honestly very impressed with it. Looks very, very good. We'll get more into it, I guess, when you talk about what you played. But yeah,
all right, well, let's go ahead and dive into it. We've been rumbling on, and we still got a lot of rumbling to do. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't know, this is the XP Podcast, our weekly video game and pop culture news podcast, where Logan and myself sit down with y'all and talk about all the news stories and happenings inside and out of the video game world. We post a new episode each and every week, so you can listen to it whenever you want. You can find us on most of the popular podcasting services, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and more. If you enjoy what we're doing here on the XP Podcast, please support us on our Patreon, where you get to be a part of our weekly discussions and give us your opinions on everything we talk about and everything we don't. You'll also be able to find all of our uploads there as well. Sorry, I always screw this up. You'll also be able to find all of our uploads there as well, along with any exclusive episodes we may post. Links for that, as always, are in the description down below, or you can simply go to patreon.com and search Experience Point, spelled capital X, capital P, ERIENCE POINT. However, if you don't have any money to send our way, don't worry. We still love and appreciate you for listening to us and being a part of what is hopefully a growing community. You can also go over to our YouTube channel where you can get this show and all of our shows in video format. If you do, please don't forget to give us a like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification icon so you can be aware of everything we post when we decide to post it. New episode reminders for you. Last episode, episode 35, was where all of us here at the XP Podcast, including me, Logan, DJ, and Worthy, sat down and gave you a very long episode where we predicted all the game scores that we drafted on our Fantasy Critic draft earlier this year. You can listen to both the Fantasy Draft and our Open Critic predictions if you go over to our YouTube channel, like everyone out there who does and support us. Speaking of supporting us, we are 4 views away from 200 views on our Game Awards reaction episode. So for you out there, if you haven't got a chance to watch it, go click on it. Get us to that 200 views for us out there. That's awesome. I can't believe it. I hope it keeps going on and on. Obviously, with all that out of the way, though, let's get into the show. In Around the Point, we finally say farewell to both Marvel's Avengers and Stadia. Maybe, just maybe, one of DJ's predictions could be coming true. That one, we'll talk about Ubisoft and dive into all the news coming out. Xbox was also the first one to the stage this year as they gave us a look into a few of the games coming in the months ahead, plus one big surprise for us all. Then in LTR, we dive into the reviews of Fire Emblem Engage, Dead Space Remake, and Forspoken. But before we get to all that, it's time for what is and forever will be the Rundown, where we catch up on all things pop culture that we've been doing, whether that be gaming, TV shows, movies, books, or comics. It doesn't matter because we like it all and love to talk about it. So, before we dive into the games, we had to push this episode back in recording because of some sleep deprivation problems. So we got a chance to not just talk about episode 2, but also we've sat down and watched episode 3 of The Last of Us. So instead of making it a point of the show, we're just going to talk about it each and every week here on the Rundown. So let's dive in to both of these episodes. Logan, off the bat, short description, what'd you think?
Okay. Episode 2, I liked it. Episode 3, I have some issues, but it was good, but not as good as I was hoping for it to be. So, what about you?
Well, I'm with you. I thought episode 2 was really, really good. Introduced the biggest change we had seen to the source material so far with how the virus works. Oh, sorry, not the virus. The fungus works, I guess, and how it spreads, which makes sense for the show if you listen to the way that they explain things and all that, and the reasoning behind that. And then episode 3, I'm very different than you. I thought it was one of the greatest episodes of TV show I've ever watched. I thought it was masterfully told, well detailed, beautifully shot, and a look into a character that most of us who played the game really, really liked, that we didn't get enough of. And not only was, in my opinion, it beautifully shot and told, it also reiterates what this story is all about at its core concept. And the story is about love and what the individuals in the story will do for love, which will come up later in the season. If those of you who've played the game know, that is the driving point and one of the main points of the story of The Last of Us is what will you do for love. And I think showing us a detailed look into the love of 2 characters, that one we never met and another one we only met slightly, I think was a incredibly intelligent way to open up the story of The Last of Us. And I don't know, I thought it was emotionally resonant. Again, I thought the acting was superb, and I don't know how much, I don't know where you don't like what they did with it, but I say
I'll get into it real quick.
Everything, I'm trying to do this without spoiling it, so everything, but maybe one little informational thing, one little thing, I was like, okay, I see why they did that, but I would have liked if they did it a different way. But I mean, I thought it was spectacular. So
All right. So I'm gonna start with episode 2. Positive first. Okay. I'll get more into 3 and I'll let you know why I'm disappointed. So it's probably not gonna be what you think it is. Episode 2 was fantastic. Again, very close to the original material. It pretty much hit all the key points, in my opinion. It still has its problems, which I'm starting to kind of look at this show from two different perspectives. Yes, we can look at it from the perspective that we've already played the game, so we already know these characters and we already have an emotional connection to them. And also looking at it from the normal consumer that is just watching the show, has never played the game. And I really like episode 2, but I gotta agree with a lot of people. Tess's death does not have that much of an emotional response if you're just watching the show and you don't really get enough time with her for it to actually hit as hard as it probably could have. Um, so I know I'm kind of getting into spoilers, so I'm sorry. This is going to kind of be mixed between both of them. If you've never played the game or watched the show, it's going to be a little tough to get through this without kind of explaining where, the similarities and all that get through. Um, but yeah, Tessa's death just doesn't have the same impact in the show as it did in the game, because in the game you have a lot more time with her and you learn a little bit more. And in the show, you really don't get that much time with her, and her death isn't as impactful as it could have been. But again, it's very close to the material. The clickers were amazing looking. I was very hyped for this episode, and I think they did. The clickers, the people that actually were doing all the acting and all that, fan freaking tastic. The dude who did the makeup and made the heads for the clickers, amazing. The way it was shot was fantastic. I don't dislike the new way that they did the infected. It does make sense because obviously in the game it was very gamey. You had to have those game moments, and so they kind of changed it to fit more of a the actual more enjoyability for the show.
well,
And I think
also
they
it's
did
like a more realistic interpretation of how things spread in the wild, so it makes a little bit more sense in the grand scheme of things, from a scientific perspective.
Yeah, and it's really cool. I thought it was really really awesome, and I mean, other than the funny jokes, is that basically Joel and Tess are just shit shots. I don't know where they shot or ever shot anyone before, but they are horrible. Dude, they're like the person that plays Last of Us but has never played a shooter before, so they're playing on easy mode
The
and they
Peyton.
just don't know. Yeah, they're basically Payton. Like literally, they were really bad. Like, dude, those things were running right at them, and they missed like 7 times. I'm like, dude, it's right in front of you. Just shoot the damn clicker. Like, dude, they were. Okay, here's the thing. It made sense for Joel to miss, but Tess did not have fucking broken hands. So, like, she could have shot one of them, and she didn't.
Yeah.
But I guess it had to happen the way it did to make sense with, the whole bite thing. Obviously the kiss thing was a little weird, but it's whatever. The more I it makes sense, I guess. It's just more like she was already infected, so she didn't try to fight back. So that's why it happened. It was still just kind of weird. Like, did that really have to be there? No. It probably could have been done a little bit differently, but it's whatever. It seems to be what he likes, but it is what it is. I really liked episode 2 though. So I'm not
Well,
trying to say it's bad. I'm being kind of critical, but it's just because I just wanted to touch on like episode. I did like episode 2 though.
I
I
think
really
with
liked it.
I think with the whole kiss scene and all that, it was the trying to represent this fungi and this virus as a part of nature's beauty in a way, and like, because if you think about like the design of the clickers, like, yeah, they're grotesque in a way, but they're also, in my opinion, they're kind of beautiful, and like the way that they're designed and the way that the I don't even know what to call it. The fucking mushroom heads sprout out of their eyeballs. I don't even know how to call it or explain it, but like, I think, if you pause the screen and look at it, not only is it well designed in the game, the artistic interpretation behind it is cool. I just think, like, they're trying to represent in a way like nature's beauty and nature's interaction. I do have to admit, when I first saw it, I'm like, well, this is kind of weird. But as I've sat with it over the past week or so, I was like, I get what they were going for. I don't know if it landed perfectly, but I'm okay with it. But on, since we'll just dive right into it, I never really thought Tessa's death in the game was that impactful. I don't think we got enough time with her in the game either. I thought it was, I mean, it was surprising like a lot of The Last of Us is. Like it I didn't see it coming in the way that it happened, but I was never really emotionally responded to Tess as a character to begin with. So I didn't feel that like, oh, I had something in the game but didn't have something in the show type of vibe. So I'm not with you on that one. But that's mostly just because, I don't know, I never really felt that originally. So a lot of other stuff that happens later in the story, I feel significantly more than I ever really did Tess. But I do think in the show...
Say...
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. No, I was going to also just say I really actually kind of prefer what they did in the show with how all the Fireflies were dead in the Capitol. I kind of prefer how they did it in the show than they did in the game, because in the game it was just kind of like, what the fuck? Like the Fedra just showed up after they killed them, left, and then
came back.
What? No, this makes more sense because like obviously someone was infected, so they all kind of got killed or eaten and all that. So like it made more sense in my opinion than what they had in the game, which I like that. I actually really like that. That was, and also like in order to show that Ellie is truly, immune, her getting bit again by that, kind of getting a little bit of a bite from one of the clickers, seeing that again and seeing that like, especially in episode 3 when he checks her hand again, like that it's already healed up and everything. I thought that was really cool too, because again, they can't do the spore thing where she can just go breathe in all the spores and all that. They have to showcase it again, like she truly is immune. So like she got that little bit of a bite thing, and that was kind of a cool way of showing that she is truly immune. But what do you think? I didn't mean to cut you off from what you were gonna say.
No, you're good. I forgot what I was gonna say, but it's okay.
Okay.
I was just gonna say, like, yeah. So far everything. Before you get into your criticisms of episode 3, I did want to shout something out that popped in my head when I was watching episode 3. After watching episodes 1, 2, and 3, how can anybody out there who's in the video game media or podcasting or whatever say that they don't want adaptations? Like, there's still a lot of people out there that be like, oh, we don't need any of this. I was like, why? Watching this show, doesn't take anything away from my love of the games. And it's a point I've fucking beaten into the ground at this point in our 36 episodes. But now, granted, I guess it's not fair. In my opinion, we are watching one of the best adaptations so far to come out. So, but like, let's go to something that wasn't very good, in your opinion. I've never seen it. So the Halo TV show, a lot of people didn't like that. Does that take away from your opinions of Halo as a franchise any more than, let's say, 5 or Infinite has?
I would say more 5, but no, obviously, but it does make me a little upset because I've always wanted an adaptation, a live action adaptation of Halo ever since they did there's these like 3 videos that came out way back before Halo 3 that were
Red vs. Blue?
No, not Red vs. Blue.
Oh.
It's like a live action thing of like a bunch of Marines trying to get a spot on Master Chief falling from the sky, where it starts in Halo 3. And dude, that shit was awesome. Like, look it up on YouTube. It's fucking great. Yeah. All the shit they did for Halo 3 in their advertisements were like up there, like superb, amazing, phenomenal. The way they advertised that game was just beyond amazing. Actually, in my opinion, some of the best advertising in gaming history. I think it was freaking great. And I've wanted that in basically live action because they have it there. They had this beautiful, like it all looked insanely good. And that was way back before we had all the technology that we do today. I would love to see something like that. But then, yeah, they came out with the Halo show and it was really bad. But it didn't take away. So to get to your point, yes, it doesn't take away from my love of Halo.
I guess
it's just more disappointing because I wanted it to be good.
Exactly. Like, you can be disappointed if something is good. But I guess what I'm trying to say, like, if I have to go through 1 not so great, or bad to pretty good to get to The Last of Us or Cyberpunk Edge Runners or things of that nature. I'm okay with those whatever one's existing, because not everything made is going to be good. That's something that I think modern day critics in just, games, movies, books, everything.
Wait, did you just say Edge Runners was not good?
No, I said if we have to
Oh,
get to something like The Last of Us or Cyberpunk Edge Runners, like, the top echelon of adaptations.
and honestly, another positive thing about these adaptations in general, even if, like, I know Edge wasn't an adaptation, but it was kind of a way of introducing more the cyberpunk world, and same for the Witcher show, where it was showing. Well, that was actually more of the story of Geralt and all that. But
The
I
Witcher
think
shows more
these,
of the books, but
yeah, but it still has that game part to it and everything. And I think again, these are very good. Also, in a sense, like I know this is a bad way of saying it, but they're very good advertisements for the game
oh yeah,
too, because then
absolutely.
it
I
gets
mean,
people. Because clearly, both not only The Witcher but also Cyberpunk Edge Runners have both done insanely good things for that company, when it makes like literally everyone want to come back and go play their games, because they're like, damn dude, that story was good, so let's go play the game now. And I think it does help. Like I think whenever this show finishes, I bet you The Last of Us is going to get a lot of people to want to, like, people are going to go buy the game
what
and actually play it.
it already has. Just this past week, The Last of Us Remastered and Part 1 saw a spike of 326% and then 302%, I think, in sales of the games just since episode 1 and 2 has debuted. So,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
insane. It
Yeah.
does wonders. It really does. Like again, it makes me kind of want to go back and play it again. Like
Yeah.
I really want to play it again now, and I probably will when I finish the show. I probably might go and just do a quick playthrough and beat the game again, just for fun.
Well, see, Peyton right now is playing through The Last of Us Part 2, so I get I get my Last of Us in all aspects of life. So, all right, let's move on to 3. We are running long on this. Let's move on to
Okay,
3.
okay.
What problems do you have with episode 3?
Here's the thing. Okay, episode 3 on its own, fan freaking tastic, amazing. No, and I this is where, like, dude, it is fantastic. I can't say anything about the writing of the episode or anything about the way it's shot or any way that these people acted were bad. It is a phenomenal episode on its own. Where I have faults is that, did we really need an entire side story of someone that, by the way, people that didn't play the game don't know who he is, don't even know who this guy is? Did we really need an entire side story that took up the entire episode just to kill? Sorry, spoiler again. Just to kill him off before they even meet him, and it basically just took away from the whole story of the fact that The Last of Us isn't about. If they wanted to make it about a bunch of different people's stories, then they should have started that from the beginning. They should have been like, okay, well now we have Tess, so second episode's gonna be all about Tess, and then a little bit about Joel and Ellie, and then third episode's gonna be all about Bill and that, and then the next episode, which we're probably gonna be getting, spoiler alert, Henry and Sam. They make all about Henry and Sam, a little bit about Joel and Ellie. If they wanted to do this, they should have started with that and stuck with this kind of style. But because we've had the first 2 episodes, which are very heavily focused on both the Joel and Ellie story, why this entire episode took away from that. It was literally all about these random people that no one knows about. Don't get me wrong, beautifully shot, beautifully well done. But the entire episode was about people that people weren't focusing on. The story is about Joe and Ellie. It's not about Bill and that. They could have integrated that story into both Joe and Ellie, but they didn't. It was basically just an entire episode about a random guy. A beautiful story, by the way. Amazing story. Don't get me wrong. But does it have anything to do with Joe and Ellie? No. And that's where I don't think it's great. I think it's a good episode on its own, actually great episode on its own, fantastic. But as a continuation for a story that they are telling with Joel and Ellie, no. I think it's a pretty bad episode, because it's literally only a sliver of the entire episode is about Joel and Ellie. That's it. Yeah, you get the sort of connection at the end with the note. And yeah, I guess it's still conveying the story about love and finding that someone to care about, but it's still like, I don't think it was well done, because it's like you're not really getting much of the Joe and Ellie story. You're not getting, if the next episode does this, I'm not gonna lie, dude, I'm gonna be pretty put out about it, because like I don't want this like whole side story of all these different characters. Like, you can integrate the story. The game did it perfectly well. You can integrate the story of these side characters within the story of Joel and Ellie. You don't need to literally make the entire episode about a side character and then a little bit about Joel and Ellie. I don't think it really did much for the Joel and Ellie story. That's where my problem is. They could have probably done like a part of the episode about his backstory, maybe cut down on a few of those scenes, and put more of Joel and Ellie in there, or connected it in some way, or maybe made Frank did leave, but in the end, it still had that same kind of ending that they wanted. I don't like how they did this whole side character thing just to barely even continue the story that is literally about Joel and Ellie. So that's where my problem is. I've been thinking about this episode a lot. I've watched it twice now. I watched it the one night. I really liked it, and then I watched it with Amy the next day, and I've been thinking about it a lot. And I've been like looking at other people's opinions. I've been thinking about my own opinion, obviously, mostly, but I just really wanted to kind of like think about it. And as a whole, people aren't like, I just don't think it's a good episode when it comes to the fact that it's not really doing much for the story, as it's more just a good, very awesome side story. Honestly, if this was like just like an extra credit kind of thing, or like an extra thing they want to add on as an awesome story to learn more about Bill and Frank, great, fantastic. But I don't think this is a good episode by itself, because it just doesn't do anything for Joe and Ellie's story at all. So yeah, that's where I have my problem with it.
No, that's fair. I see that.
Because I don't have any problem with it, the fact they changed it. I'm not one of those people, God, you changed it. I'm like, they kept a lot of the core aspects of what Bill is still in there, which I liked. And I liked that they still technically hit the key points, which was the whole journey with Bill in the game was to get the truck, and they got the truck. Do I like how they got the truck in the show? I thought it was kind of lame, but it's okay. But it's and I kind of missed the banter between Ellie and Bill, but it's whatever again. But again, I just don't think they integrated the story very well with the whole Joe and Ella story. I think it was just like a beautiful story that shouldn't have been an entire episode. So
fair enough. I do have to say I was a little irked by them killing off Bill in the way they did, because like you said, and you're good, you made very fair points, so no argument here on your points. So it does kind of lessen the impact that Bill has on Joel and Ellie as a whole. Like you said, it I guess they just wanted to make him like a good guy, and he wasn't really a good guy in the game per se. I think he's a very interesting character in the game, and I love his entire section with the school, and you meet the you meet the bloater in, wait, that's the school section, right?
Yeah, because they go to
yeah. So I guess in their minds, all that really didn't matter. It was just a gamified version to get the battery, and they're like, well, we can just give Joel and Ellie the battery and tell this really, as you said, poignant story. But yeah, now that you say things, it was kind of weird the way they did it, because the whole time I was watching the episode and I was ready for the big fucking bombshell that the game drops on you, and then when it didn't come, I was like, oh, okay.
Because I really like in the game how they subtly tell his story. And that's why I find him so interesting, because it's not like bam, slam, right in your face, the story of him, like it's subtly done throughout the time you spend with him, and it's very interesting, and I like how they did it in the game, and telling the whole Bill and Frank story, and learning that Bill was gay the entire time, especially learning that his partner that he's been talking about is like his love partner, which was Frank. And obviously, I don't have a problem that they changed how that was. But again, yeah, I kind of miss the subtleness. Like, I like that they are like telling a story while also doing the story of Joel and Ellie. So you're getting like two stories. And I'm really hoping they don't do this Bill and Frank thing again, because again, it's really taking away from the whole Joel and Ellie story, which is literally the main focus of it. The side characters are called side characters for a reason. They're supposed to be side stories, side things that are happening. And I really hope they don't do what they did with Bill and Frank with the Henry and Sam and also the bunker thing. That shit better be subtle. That better be just told within the show. Don't be focusing the entire episode on these side stories. Please, I beg you. Don't do a Walking Dead. I don't need 15 different stories. I just need you to focus on the one story, but do what you do best, like you did in the game, and tell these other stories while they're on their journey. I find that more interesting, in my opinion. So, yeah.
Yeah, I will say I think the good moment towards the end of the show that happens is when they read the letter, which again is different from the letter that they read in the game. But I do think it hits the point of, when Bill mentions Tess in the letter, it reminds Joel of his failure to protect her and his inability to protect her. And for those of you that know where this is all leading to, that helps the audience understand Joel's in particular, his decisions throughout the rest of the season and obviously the end where all this is leading to. It helps, knowing that he regrets not being able to save certain people, help understand and give more weight to what happens at the end of the story. So, and that's the only way I can say that without saying anything more. So,
I just hope to God they don't change the ending of this, because I will be very put out. But I would hope they wouldn't, because I think it's so perfect. So I really, I just hope, because I know they're making some pretty big changes now. Kind of makes me a little worried about some other side characters we're going to be running into, which I already said their names, but I kind of hope they don't change that story too, because I kind of really like the ending of that one. Because again, Last of Us story isn't a very happy, joyful, all about smelling the roses kind of story. There's a lot of brutality. That's the whole point of the story. This world isn't great. It's brutal. So keep it like that, please. I hope this is like the only big step they're going to make away from the game. I'm sure there'll be some other decently big steps and different changes. But I hope some of these stories they keep the same, like especially the next one they're going to be running into.
Yeah. So. And I know we're probably going to be getting an entire episode based off the Left Behind DLC, because we've already seen scenes from that in trailers and all that. So I'm wondering how they're going to put that in and integrate that. Which I love that story. I love the Left Behind. So, but like you said, if it takes away from the entire momentum of the show, I guess it will start to drag a little bit, because we only get 9 episodes, so we're a third of the way through the show. So, and I guess that kind of matches up. After Billstown, you're about a third of the way through the game per se, or so. So it matches up a little bit, but that's neither here nor there. The last point I wanted to make is something that I've noticed they're really starting to hammer home with Ellie as a character, and that kind of is her tendency towards violence and like her kind of enjoyment of that violence. We saw that at the end of episode 1, where it seemed to be, the camera focused on her as she kind of reveled in the violence of Joel on that soldier that I can't remember what his name was. It didn't matter in the game. It doesn't matter in the show. So
it doesn't matter here. Yeah.
So, and we talked about it with DJ when they really focused in on, her apparent, enjoyment of that violence and enjoyment of seeing someone protect her in that way. And then in episode 3, we get the whole scene with her down in the basement of that shop or whatever. And there's that trapped runner, or we'll just say infected. And she kind of revels in the brutality of taking him out and kind of stares at him. And it's like, I think the show is really kind of hammering home Jolie's what the fuck? Jolie. Ellie's tendencies towards violence, which, if we do, spoiler alert, we're about to talk about it, we are getting a second season of this. Definitely she revels in violence in the second season, so
And supposedly they're going to be splitting it into 2 different seasons.
Well, yeah,
So the second one, which makes sense, that game is really long with a lot of story to be told. So I definitely could see them splitting it between two
you
two
want
seasons.
to talk about long. So I said Peyton's playing through The Last of Us Part 2 right now. She is long playing that game. She's in day 2 of Act 1 and already almost 17 hours in. I'm like, holy
Damn.
shit. I'm like, it took me just over 30 hours to beat The Last of Us Part 2. It was like 30 hours and 15 minutes. So I think Eric beat it in like 26 hours. The average is like 28 to beat it. So I was a little slow. I'm like, Peyton's going to set a fucking world record for a single playthrough of The Last of Us. But it's all right. Let's move on to the games. We'll speed it up here a little bit because we got quite a bit to get through. So, Dead Space. It's fantastic. Spoiler alert. It's absolutely phenomenal. Not just game. It's a phenomenal remake. All right. They have, people sometimes, ask, oh, what's the reason you're doing this remake? Where's the proof of its purpose for existing? Which I don't really like that argument because it doesn't matter. Its purpose for existing is because it's a great game that they want to make new again. But if you want to present that argument to me, I will say this does more than enough to represent itself in its reasoning for a remake. This changes way more than I thought it was going to change. And the way the ship's laid out, the way the level design is, the way that's the characters interact. There's a whole new side quest set that you get to know Isaac's girlfriend or fiance or wife, whatever. I forgot. Nicole a lot more, and you get to follow her through. The whole way that the intensity, what's it called? The intensity,
Director,
yeah, the intensity director,
thing.
yeah. I've started to notice it. And like I said, I haven't played Dead Space 1 since like 2010 or something. It came out in 2008, but I played it a couple times. But the way that they have redesigned the ship from some videos that I've watched and some other things like that, it more than signifies its reason for existence, which again I think is a dumb argument, but people make that argument. So, but oh, that was a weird noise. You're shifting in your leather seat. Sounded kind of weird. Uh-oh. You still there?
No, you're good.
Okay.
Yes, I'm here. Sorry.
So, you good. But yeah, no, I said I'm not super far into it. I'm about 3 hours. I'm on chapter 3, so a little under a third of the way through the game. But yeah, I just think it's absolutely fantastic. It's fucking beautiful. It's dark. It's creepy. It's scary. The way that the 3D audio works, like I was talking to Worthy on the group chat, it's fucking terrifying. Things are crawling in vents all over the place, and with the 3D audio and all that, with the Tempest engine and the headphones and all that stuff that no one cares about, it is horrifying to play this game. And I know you said you want to play it, but I'm like, man, good luck, brother. So, yeah. I don't know how much more I can say on it other than the fact that if you liked Dead Space, you're going to like this one. If you didn't like Dead Space because maybe you thought it was too scary or you didn't like the way the game controls or whatever the reason was, you're not going to like this game. This game is the best representation of what the original was. That's the easiest way I can put it. It represents the original in the best way that it can, and I think this is a fantastic video game. One of the easiest recommendations if you like this type of game. But I was telling the people out there, Logan, now that you're back, I was like, I know you're not a fan of horror games. Don't play this game with headphones on. It'll creep you the fuck out. Things are crawling everywhere on this ship, and it puts me at tension. So, good luck if you plan on playing this game. I know you said you were going to, so.
Yeah. No, I've been watching some gameplay. I'm gonna watch the entire thing. I know it's like a big send for you for me to ruin these games, but I'd rather just watch it through and then go play it. It'll make me feel a little bit better because I kind of know what's coming for me. and I'll enjoy it a
Well,
little bit more.
that's what's really cool about the intensity director. It's actually different from each
Well,
thing.
I noticed that
Yeah.
actually.
So
Yeah,
it's based off how much ammo you have, how much stuff you have. The more stuff you have, the more enemies they throw at you. And I think it's fucking cool shit the way that works. You know, I guess the way that they say it works and it appears to work. Because I've watched a couple people test it out, and a guy walked through the same hallway with like 80 rounds in his thing and all that, and they threw like 3 or 4 enemies at him. And someone else walked through with like barely any ammo, and they threw like 1 enemy at him.
Yeah, I kind of like that. Kind of reminds me of like Left 4 Dead with the whole director system.
Yeah.
I think this is a good, like, honestly, dude, I'm surprised this idea hasn't been put in more horror games already. I think it's such an amazing idea. Cause like, yeah, I've been watching. I'm like, dude, that's pretty awesome. Cause who was it? I watched a YouTuber play it, and he showed, like, he had a review for it, and he showed that, like, before he started recording, he started to play the game, and then he forgot to start recording, so he went back and played it again, and he seen this like dead body on the ground. It was in the same, like, layout. Went in, shot the bodies, and then all of a sudden the third body jumped at him. Well, he thought the same thing. He shot the first one, or he shot the third one thinking it was alive, and it didn't move. And he's like, what the hell? So he moved up, and then the first one jumped at him. And I'm like, dude, that's sick. Like, that's cool. Like, every time you play, you do not know how it's gonna go down. Like, and that he was like absolutely horrified because he was like, he didn't expect it. And it was great. And I'm like, this is cool. Like, I think that's an awesome new system. I actually have been watching a lot of videos on this game, and like a lot of the new things they added, it's like pretty dang impressive. Like, I'll definitely say this remake is more of a remake than because they're actually doing some big things on this, like huge differences, like gigantic things, not only graphically, but like in just the fact that the layout is different. You don't have to ride the tram to each section of the ship. You can go back at any moment. Like, that stuff's cool.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
I really like that.
like that's what I was talking about. They've from the first three plus hours, they've not changed anything drastically. They just expanded your options of how you explore the ship. And I think it leads a great sense of discovery. Like, you can mainline this game if you want, or every time you get a new security clearance, you can kind of backtrack through and pick up some stuff. And by the way, when you're backtracking through, you're not fucking safe, all right? I was backtracking through this room, and I was just fucking running along, and something jumped out of a vent and scared the shit out of me. I actually audibly yelled. I was like, shit! I wasn't ready for it. I was just like, okay, I've already cleared this. I'm just going to make my way back to this fucking chest or something like that. Because I have Security Clearance 3 now, so I'm just going to run my way back here. And it scared the ever-living shit out of me. So, but like I said, the visuals, fantastic. It's way darker than the original game. And there's multiple different sections where you have to choose where power goes to. And like there's this whole section where you have to turn the lights off to get these elevators to move. It's very early on in the game. And it's just complete blackness. A darkness. And the only thing you can see is what your flashlight illuminates. And by the way, your flashlight only illuminates when you have your gun out. So it's not like The Last of Us where you can pretty much freely roam in flashlights, without your gun being drawn. The flashlight's only attached to when you're aiming. So I'm just like walking through this room with my gun aimed, just looking at every corner, and man, it's absolutely fantastic. That's the only thing I can say. It is a marvelous remake, and it's proof that the Frostbite engine is really great in a certain game. In a linear, narrative-driven game like Battlefront, or like the old Battlefronts, not like the new Battlefront, in Dead Space, in some of these other things, it's a fantastic engine. One of the best out there. And open-world RPGs, not a great engine, but... That's one thing I will say EA, which again, they are doing, they're moving away from it, but, maybe don't have the next Dragon Age run on Frostbite, which I know that it is, so we'll see. But Mass Effect's on Unreal, so that's good, I guess. Anyway, all right. Anything else you got on Dead Space, you can go through and run through some of these before I get the Fire Emblem, so.
No, I don't think so. It looks very impressive. The only problems I've heard, for some reason, they have a little bit of problem with the VRS feature, which is on PC, it's automatically on. You can't turn it off. They're getting an update out there to fix it. And on PS5 and Xbox Series X and all that, they also have it automatically on. And supposedly, it's making the shadows and the dark areas look really ugly with like macro blocking going on because it's both doing FSR and VRS, which I don't know if you know what VRS is, but that's variable rate shading, which basically I know the only game I know right now I remember using it is Gears 5 when it came to next gen consoles. It basically is like it basically makes the darker areas use less horsepower to I guess like generate like the textures and all that. But since Dead Space is using both a pretty much a resolution upscaling with the FSR with the VSR, it's making the shadows look more ugly. Again, I haven't played the game, so I can't really tell you, but I just seen it from some videos and all that, and that's the only problem I've seen with the game. And they are supposedly coming out with an update to fix that, so it isn't going to be that much of a problem for much longer. So I don't know if you ran into that problem, if you notice any weird little problems in the shadows and the dark areas.
No, you know me. I care less and less about visual fidelity more and just care about how the game runs. Like if anything is like obviously blatant, like duh, I'll point it out, Pokemon. But if there's a little bit of weird shadow work going on, I don't give a shit, dude. My game runs at a solid 60 and it looks generally fantastic. I don't care about this little itty bitty issue that you can only spot if you're paying attention to it. So that's my opinion.
Yeah, I mean it looks great from where I can see. So again, I don't know. I just know that's a little small problem people have been bringing up. But again, it's gonna get fixed very soon, so it's really not that big of a problem at all. But I'll get to a game that absolutely blew me away. This game, dude, we'll be getting into the show soon, but this game came out of fucking nowhere. And wow is all I gotta say. Just wow. So I played a little game called Hi-Fi Rush, which got showcased at the Xbox show, the Direct, that we'll be talking about again very soon when we get to around the point. And this game, dude, is fucking great. The art style is phenomenal. The story was actually really good. The combat is very addicting, very, very fun, just in general. Again, and then, dude, just the design and everything about it, dude, just felt so fluid and just phenomenal, and also just mind blowing that Tango Works, the people that made Evil Within and Ghostwire Tokyo, I said Tokyo, made this game, and dude, I, I know this came to Game Pass, but dude, if it didn't come to Game Pass, I would have spent $30 on this game. It's $30. It's honestly a steal because this game is phenomenal. And I mean that literally. I beat this entire game. Yeah, it was about 11 hours. It took me to beat the entire game. And that's not even doing all the other side stuff that there was left behind. There was a lot of like hidden stuff I didn't get to do, things that the more and more you get throughout the game, you unlock more and more abilities, which can unlock a lot more secret paths that you see throughout the game. Kind of Metrovania in a sense, but it's not Metrovania because you can't really do a lot of backtracking like you could in those games. But it's more like when you replay these missions now you can open up secret paths and do secret things more. And then there's a whole secret little mission thing you could do at the end to get a secret ending. And that probably adds another, like, I don't know, 3 hours probably to the game. So maybe like a 14, 15-hour game. And then again, if you're a completionist, probably, I don't know, 16 hours, probably. Uh, this game, though, dude, I fully mean that I absolutely love this game. I couldn't stop talking about it because here's the thing. When I first seen it, I thought the trailer didn't do a very good job of proving how good this game was. Like, it kind of seemed very kiddish, seemed very cheesy from the trailer. But then I watched the gameplay and I'm like, this looks pretty cool though. Like, and then the art style has like a cool vibe because it's got like this mix between like a Western art style, but also bringing in a lot of that Japanese anime style into a lot of the cutscenes and the battles. And dude, this game is just phenomenal. It's unique in some ways. It has a lot of like I mean, it's basically like Guitar Hero meets Devil May Cry, and it's just fucking great. Like, and everything's on beat. So like the whole, I didn't know what to think about the rhythm thing, but then the more and more you play and the more you get in the rhythm with the music when you're fighting and everything, it just feels so satisfying. Like, and dude, this game, by the way, I mean, it's pretty crazy anymore to say this, but dude, this game is like flawless. I didn't run into a single bug. I didn't run into a single frame drop. And I know it's like you're gonna look at it and you're like, oh, it's not like super like visually crazy. It's not for broken. But you know, like it's still like, dude, this game looks phenomenal for what it is. And honestly, it's mind blowing that it's only $30. I'm still surprised it's only $30 because like, dude, this game is they put a lot of money into Tell because they put a lot of effort into it. And it seemed like they're very passionate about it. And it kind of, man, I just kind of hope Xbox sees this and kind of lets more of this happen. Maybe even a sequel for this game. I don't know if we need a sequel or not. It does leave it off a little bit for a possibility of a sequel. If there is, I welcome it with open arms because this game is fucking great. And I mean it. It is great. It is super fun. If you have a PC or an Xbox, and if you have Game Pass, or if you don't want to get Game Pass, $30, full heartedly, I'm it. It's worth it. It's worth it. 100% worth it. It's great. It's so much fun. You'll have a great time with a very fun story with great comedy, awesome combat, fantastic design. There's not much more I can say. I mean, the boss battles too are just so good, and the music they put with it and the way that it feels is just so good. It's so good. So, yeah, I don't know if you have anything to say, Mike, but yeah, dude, this game, I was just blown away by it. I'm so happy I played it. It's so good.
No, so that's cool. Yeah, this is the big surprise that we'll talk about. Well, I guess we won't really talk about too much later, but
Yeah.
during the Xbox Developer Direct, and yeah, I thought this jumped out. I mean, it's very me style a game, so I like this kind of like unique, interesting type of looking stuff. So I immediately jumped on to Fantasy Critic and tried to open up an auction for one of us to get this game, but unfortunately, it released immediately. So you can only have
Yeah.
you can only have auctions for like games that get announced to come out like in a day or two. So the fact that it immediately released, we couldn't have an auction for it because I tried to set it up and I was going to tell you guys, hey, there's an auction live if you want this game. You can add it, but it didn't let me do it. So, but no, this game immediately jumped off the screen to me. I thought it looked fantastic. It's scored ridiculously well. It's tied with Dead Space for the highest scored game so far this year at 90. So, and I think this is just further proof to not just Xbox, to PlayStation, to Nintendo, to Ubisoft, to EA, to everybody out there. Let your developers work on things they want to work on. Let them work on passion projects. They sometimes, more than not, it works out for them. And then in turn it works out for you. You know, like you said, this game came from Tango Gameworks, the makers of Evil Dead. That's not right. Evil Within.
Yeah.
Obviously Ghostwire Tokyo that just came out, and before that, I actually forgot what they worked on before that. But
I don't know
yeah,
either.
yeah.
It's the more recent projects.
So 3 straight survival horror games or horror genre games, and then they come out with this game, and people are like, "What?" And it turns out it's a masterclass in the way it's designed and the way it plays. So let your
go on.
I was just gonna say, just let your developers stretch their legs. Because probably what's going to happen is they got to make this game. They're really happy. So now Xbox or Bethesda, whoever can say, hey, we want this style of game. And they'll be more than willing to do it for you because you just let them make the game that they wanted to make.
And I just want to say, if you are going to play this game, absolutely 100% play this with headphones because it honestly makes the game feel even better. It feels better, not even better. Just it feels better because obviously it helps you get with the rhythm a little bit better, and it just feels good. And it's again, I can't sing any more praises as I already have. This game is just so worth it, even for $30. It is. I'm still just baffled that it is only $30 because it's like insanely good. So yeah, other than that, I don't know if you want me to jump into my other things. I don't have I mean, I have a little bit to say about one of them, but the other
Yeah.
ones I can get through pretty quickly
Yeah,
here.
just keep it chugging.
So this has kind of been the weeks of roguelites for me. Been playing a lot of them. So I've been playing Hades, which I did put on my fantasy league, the second one. And wow, dude, Hades is awesome. I've been playing it on my Steam Deck. There's been occasional couple times where I've been like in bed, just sitting there with my Steam Deck playing some Hades, and it's great. It's amazing. It's actually really, really fun. Art style's great. The characters are great. The story seems very interesting and fun. And it's just kind of addicting. It's like it's a really good time. It's really, really fun. I beat the first boss recently and I made it to the second boss. I was damn close to being the second boss, but I died. But yeah, obviously, people probably know a lot about Hades by now, but I just want to say it's a great game. I know you look at these kind of games, some people, and they're like, oh, this game is really, really fun. And I truly mean it. It's very addicting. It's very fun. It's challenging, but the more and more you play, the more and more you learn, the more and more you level up and get your character to become stronger and better. So it's great. But another roguelite I've been playing that I've asked Mike multiple times to let me borrow, but he still hasn't played it or even opened it up yet. But Returnal. This game,
Hey,
dude.
fuck off! It is opened. It is not removed off the. Wait, hold on. Let me. Is it open? Hold on. Yeah, it's open, fucker.
Oh, this okay. Okay, well, okay. So
It's not playing.
I started playing it last week, and I somehow in my first run not only beat the first boss, but made it almost all the way to the end of the second boss. Don't know how I did it, but I did it. I guess I was just really lucky on my first go. Um, wow, is all I gotta say. Dude, this game is so much fun. Like, I mean it. It is so much fun. It also uses the PlayStation 5 controller insanely well. I love the freaking like the whole the trigger function and the whole why can't I say it? The haptic feedback. It just feels very good in the controller and shooting all the different weapons and dodging and getting all these awesome gear and also just the style of the game. It's very just awesome. Like it has that very like cool sci-fi look to it, and all these different areas that you explore and look at, they all look insanely beautiful. Nothing looks super bland. It's all the mechanics working together and the kind of like exploration of like, do you want to take the chance of going here? It's very roguelike in that sense, and it also has a very cool little story that they're telling at the same time. Especially this one part kind of reminded me of Resident Evil 7 a little bit, where you go in like first person, you walk through like a house. Um, wow. I mean, I cannot. I'm telling you, this game is freaking fun. It is so good so far. I really want to keep playing it, but I've also been trying to play other games. Like when Hi-Fi came out, I kind of took a break on a lot of these games because I really wanted to beat Hi-Fi, especially before we did the podcast because I wanted to talk about it a little bit. And yeah, no, Returnal, super good. I mean, if you haven't gotten it already, I picked it up for like $30, I believe, on sale at one point. It's amazing, and I mean it. It's very, very, very fun. And if you have a PS5, full-heartedly recommend it. And also soon on PC, it'll be releasing. So I mean, it's great. It's awesome. I can't wait to play more of it. But another sort of surprising roguelite thing, not super surprising because I kind of knew this was coming, but Hitman 3 added its own roguelite mode now. And it is hard as fuck. It is hard. um, it's called Hitman 3's freelancer mode, or as they call it now, Hitman: The World of Assassination. Um, dude, this is very fun too. I've been playing that too recently because it just came out like I think within like the middle of last week or towards the end. It is hard. It is really hard. It's really cool and just really fun. It's where basically like you pick from like these different people, these different syndicates as they call it, and it gives you it's randomly generated every time. And it's also all the gear you get is all super randomly generated and all that. And then basically the
It appears.
more and more you play stuff in this what?
Hold up, you dropped out. You said basically and then went silent.
I don't remember where I went with that, but basically, okay, for Hitman 3 Freelancer, you basically what you do. God damn it! If I say basically one more time, there's a safe house that you have within this, and the more and more you play, you unlock more rooms to this place, and the more and more you can customize it and get more weapons and get more gear and different outfits and all that. And the more you play against, you gotta like basically you get these randomly generated contracts.
I was waiting for it.
These randomly generated contracts. So where you get like four or either like 3 or 4 contracts. And so what you do, you go into these contracts and they have like specific objectives that you can do. You can obviously do the hit in any way you want and be as creative as you want. But they give you these little bonus things to get you bonus money, which makes things very difficult if you want to get a higher payout when doing it. And again, if you die, it has very severe consequences. You can't like save and repeat what you did. Like you have to do it and do it successfully. If you die, so like what happens is if you die in one of the more beginning ones or whatever, it makes all the other ones harder because all the other contracts go onto alert. So they'll be more heavily guarded. They'll be a little bit more difficult. Be harder to get just in general to get to your target and get the kill. But after you do complete all those, you get to the 4th contract where things get very interesting. I almost fucking said it. In the last contract, it's again, as always, it's randomly generated, but there's 4 different targets, 4 or 3. Usually it's 4, I believe. There's 4 targets, but they don't tell you what the target is. They give you a description of what the target is. So they'll give them a bunch of traits. They'll say either they're wearing a hat, they're wearing sunglasses, they're wearing a necklace, they have a tattoo, they're maybe wearing a watch, maybe they're wearing a certain outfit. But then they also have traits where they'll maybe they like to read books a lot, or maybe they have they're sick, or they're heavy smokers, or they like to drink a lot. And so you have to kind of like fall around these people and kind of figure out what the target is. And if you mess up, it makes it harder to find the target. So if you shoot the wrong person or kill the wrong person, then it makes it a little bit more difficult to find it. But which really cool, and I ran into this, I accidentally killed one of the wrong ones and they dropped a phone. And I'm like, this is really cool. So you get the phone and you can go find a place and set up a meeting spot for the syndicate leader, and then they'll go to that spot. So you can kind of set up your kill in a very unique way within that phone to get the actual syndicate. But the thing is, all of these targets all have a meeting that they're attending to. So they'll meet to all these different targets. They'll talk. They'll have a meeting. So if you use the phone, every single other target is also going to go to that. So it won't just like, it isn't cheesing it. You can't just shoot someone, grab the phone, use it, and instantly find the leader. No, all of them still go to that phone, to that meeting spot. So it still makes things very difficult. And you also got to remember their guards or assassins that are with them will also be coming with them. Which I don't know what the assassins are yet. I'm pretty sure I've seen the assassin. I don't know what they do. I don't know if I'm supposed to kill the assassin to get a weapon. I don't know what the assassin is trying to do because they don't do anything but follow the target the entire time. So I don't know if the assassin's supposed to kill the person before me, or that's one thing I don't understand. But there's also a lot of other random objectives that might pop up while you're playing. Like, for example, there'll be some people with money things on their head. If you kill them, you'll get bonus money for it. And they're just like side targets. Or there's like a safe that you need to crack that will randomly generate in this map. And again, it's very addicting. It's actually really, really fun and also extremely difficult because I've died plenty of times and it is so hard sometimes because especially some of the objectives are extremely difficult. Like don't get spotted, only use one disguise. Literally kill the target with this most excessively weird weapon that you have to find within the map. And it's very difficult, but it's very fun. If you like Hitman, highly recommend it. I know I've kind of went on this a little too long, but yeah. So, Mike, what was the last game you played this week?
Well, the last game I played is a little unknown quantity called Fire Emblem Engage. Um, and I know you were hesitant to play this game because it seemed to be more traditional Fire Emblem than Fire Emblem Three Houses was.
Yeah,
And I can tell you after 22 hours now, it is more traditional Fire Emblem.
yeah. So
And
yeah,
I love it for that. I think the combat system um, blows Fire Emblem Three Houses out of the water with the amount of depth and things you can do. Yeah, I know. Within the combat system, it's basically the best combat system in Fire Emblem history. So,
that's
uh,
good.
by the way, I was making a joke about you saying
Yeah,
basically all the time.
basically.
Yeah, but no,
Yeah, I realized that after I was talking about Hitman. I'm like,
it's
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 like
it's really great so far. It was very slow to start. I wasn't truly into it for the first 10 or so hours. Um, the characters were good, but not great. The combat wasn't fully clicking until I got to about the 11-hour, 12-hour mark. And then things started to all come together. I started to really get on top of how to move my units around on the board, how to match different units together, because um, unlike Three Houses, your bonds and your relationships really develop on the battlefield. So if you want to have two people grow in their bond and their relationship and their support, then you need to pair them two together and have them fight together. And each time they do an action or an attack or something like that, adjacent to that other character, their bond grows. So you really need to think a lot about not just how to move your units to pair the ones you want to get the bond support levels up, so then you can grow stronger while they're with each other. But then you also need to it's you need to plan what enemies are, how far you move, where they're gonna come at you. Let's see, this guy has a spear, so he can break my my axe wielder, so I can't wield my I can't move my axe wielder there, so I have to put my sword wielder in front of him and then attack this group of enemies with these two people, have my mage as backup. There's just a lot. There's a lot to this combat system. It's very deep, it's very nuanced. I think it's awesome. Fire Emblem Three Houses has a great combat system, but it wasn't like super deep like some of the old one was. Some of the old ones were. Sorry. You're based off the nature of the game. You had a limited roster of characters, and to emphasize the permadeath way to play Fire Emblem, they made some of those characters overpowered. I'm looking at you, Edelgard, who could essentially solo half of the freaking fights in the game. She was OP as hell, which is why I loved her. And this one, while you do have this one character in particular who's pretty powerful, most of the other ones can be taken out in a couple hits, regardless of level, because everything levels up with you. So you really do have to pay attention to what you do. Unless you're playing in casual mode, then you can just throw caution to the wind and just go straight ahead and not have to worry about it. But for me, I don't play in casual mode too much. Sometimes I like to start off in casual mode for the first couple hours to get a grips with the new combat system. I did that here, and then after like the first couple battles, I started a new game on correct mode. It's called I forgot what it's called, but I call it the correct mode. Um, and I just think it's pun intended. It's a super engaging combat system. It's
oh,
again, yeah, it's deep, it's nuanced. There's a lot to think about, a lot to do each and every time you step on the battlefield, whether that be the main story quests, the paralog side stories that further deepen your relationship with individual characters or individual emblems, um, or just a random skirmish that pops up on the map that you go and fight. You can lose anybody at any time, and you don't want to do that. I've lost a couple people. I've lost I think 3 or 4 people. But like I said, this is much more old school Fire Emblem, where the whole design of the game is built around that permadeath. So they do throw new units at you most, like every other chapter or something. You get like a kind of like refreshment into your army. So you can lose people, be happy with losing people, not be happy, but like don't be afraid to lose people if you have to. And I was in this one situation where I literally couldn't get around not losing somebody. I couldn't stop it, so I threw one of my lower level characters that I didn't care about right into the middle of a fight. He got killed. I won the fight. Sorry, Jean, you died. I didn't need you anyway. You were a crappy mage. But so I absolutely love this game. Do I think it's overall better than Three Houses? No, because Three Houses had a spectacular story, spectacular design with the school and the relationship building and the conversation. So it's not better than Three Houses in 4 out of the 5 categories. But in the combat system, in the depthness and the nuance in the combat system, it is in the next echelon compared to Three Houses. But overall, Three Houses is probably a much better game. But I am really, really enjoying Fire Emblem Engage a lot. And I would say if you're fans of the franchises, so if you're a fan of the franchise as a whole and its entire history, you're going to really, really like this game. If you just came in on Three Houses and now you jump to Engage, you might be a little put off by how much more traditional it is in its design and its difficulty and its emphasis on battlefield tactics as opposed to relationship building. The relationship building is still there. You still have a hub. You can still walk around, talk to people, upgrade your gear, engage in support conversations, do mini games. There's fishing. There's this ring melding mini game that I'm fucking addicted to that I can't stop melding these stupid rings together to go up in these stupid A, B, C tier levels. It's I don't know why I like it so much, but I do. But I will say overall, if you're just a Three Houses fan, Fire Emblem Engage may put you off a little bit if you're not truly ready for it. But if you are a grander Fire Emblem fan and have been a fan for quite a few games, whether that be the very beginning of it or like most people in the West, they jumped in during Fire Emblem Awakening and so forth, you're going to really like this game. So that's what I got.
All right. I think the only other thing I really had this week was, or well, within these 2 weeks or whatever, is I watched last week's episode of Bad Batch, episode 5. It was pretty disappointing. So I'm gonna hope this new episode's pretty good, but these last 2 episodes are what basically people would say in the anime world filler episodes. So I don't know why Disney's putting filler episodes in this Disney Star Wars adventure, but these 2 episodes have just been kind of like,
I was going to say,
okay.
isn't it only like a 10-episode season?
I'm pretty sure, and 2 episodes have been literally just like kind of filler episodes in a sense. Like one's about a race and it has nothing to do with the story, and then the other one was about them hunting down some treasure. And I'm like, again, where's the connection to the story, guys? I mean, it has the characters in it, but like, it's kind of not doing much for the story here. And I'm like, this is just random. Like, where is it? Where are we going with this? The first 3
It's
episodes
16
were great.
episodes.
Oh, 16. Okay. Well, first 3 episodes are great. They all had they had a goal and they were moving somewhere. But then 4 and 5 have just been kind of random. So I'm hoping the next episode, which is today, is pretty good. But if you haven't watched it, I do still recommend Bad Batch. I think the first season's great, and I think at least so far the first 3 episodes of the second season are phenomenal, especially the 3rd episode. That episode slaps. It's so freaking good. But other than that, that's pretty much been my 2 weeks. So it's cool to hear that you played 2 great games. Dead Space obviously looks great, and Fire Emblem Engage I probably will never play because, yeah. But other than that, yeah. Ready to get to around.
I will say the story is pretty darn good now that I've gotten into I would say, out of the initial stages and into the more like deep story driven aspect of it. Visually, it just makes me laugh at Pokemon. That's pretty much all it does.
Yeah.
It just makes me laugh at Pokemon and their ineptitude of that studio of making a visually impressive game. So who knows what's going on.
What if they
there.
made Pokemon look so bad so that every game other than that will look like the best thing ever?
Man, Nintendo out here playing fucking 3D chess, and we're playing fucking, I don't know, what's that kid's
Playing
game?
checkers.
No, we're not even playing checkers. What's that kid's game?
Connect 4?
No, the fucking one where you go around the board and you like You do like the fruits and
Candyland?
yeah, we're playing
Yeah.
Candyland. There we go.
Yeah.
And I can't believe I forgot Candyland. Whatever, doesn't matter. So, all right, that was the rundown. A very long, a long rundown, but they had two pretty big episodes to talk about. So, let us know out there, guys, what you've been playing. Have you jumped into Dead Space Remake? Did you pee your pants? Have you jumped into Fire Emblem? By the way, those are two very different games. When I jump back and forth between them, it's very weird to play both of those games together.
I bet.
Yeah, very different. So I'm glad to hear you are loving Returnal as much as everything I've heard. If you like it, I'll probably love it even more.
Oh, it's co-op too, so we can always play some co-op at some point.
I don't like to
Let me
play
know.
games with you, so.
Love you too.
All right, guys, we're going to go now to Around the Point, where we here at the Experience Point go around the video game world and give you the news that you need to know about. All right, number one on Around the Point. These are these first couple ones are catch-ups from the last week because we had a 3-hour plus episode and we didn't even get to a single news story, so had to kind of move on from that. So Marvel's Avengers has finally announced after a long delayed time coming in its cancellation that September 30th, it will officially discontinue support for the game, making update 2.7, which came out earlier this year, which included the Winter Soldier and the Cloning Lab Omega Threat level thingamajigger, the last thing we're going to get. So they are leaving the much promised She-Hulk character on the cutting room floor, not going to bring that to us. And the final update will be later this year on March 31st, update 2.1, which I guess would just be balancing updates. So those of you out there who are still playing the game, I still jump on every now and then just to see what's up. I played a little bit of Winter Soldier. They said he was a brand new, wholly different character, but he has every single base attack and animation from Captain America. So that was a straight up lie out there. I know. I was very annoyed. If you want to hear what I almost said CD Projekt, but Crystal Dynamics has to say, they do have a blog which you can go and read. This is what it says. It says, "We know this is disappointing news as everyone in our community has such a connection to these characters and their stories. We are so grateful that you came on this adventure with us. Your excitement for Marvel's Avengers, from your epic photo mode shots to your threads theorizing who our next heroes would be, to your Twitch streams, has large played a part in bringing this game to life. I would just like to say, the reason those threads exist theorizing who the heroes we're going to be is because you never fucking said anything. It took you months to just create a carbon copy of a game. You know what? I don't want to get into this too much. For those of you out there, if you've enjoyed Avengers, I'm glad. I said I put over 300 hours in the game for some fucking reason. I still don't know why. It's set pretty with me. So we are losing all sorts of online features after September 30th. Good news, though. They said although the digital store closes and they will no longer be available to make digital purchases, all the solo content will continue to be playable after support ends, and multiplayer will also be available, along with the big one I'm very excited for. It says the final balance update will be update 2.8, like I said, released on March 31st. Afterward, Crystal Dynamics will turn off the cosmetics marketplace and credits will no longer be purchasable. However, all cosmetics will be made available for free. So,
which is pretty cool.
Yeah. So if you haven't jumped into this game, jump into it now, because in a month and a half, by the time you're done doing all the doing the same mission for the 18th time, you're going to be able to get every single costume for free. So I probably will actually jump in on March 31st or whenever they turn off cosmetics and just get them all so I can just run around and do stupid stuff. And if DJ Worthy,
you know what I think is crazy about this?
What's up?
I know they're turning off online features and all that, but why delist the game? I think that's a little weird. Like, you could still keep the game up. People could still play it single player. It's not like an online game. I mean, heck, a lot.
Well, they said
those game there.
They said support will discontinue, after which digital purchases will no longer be available, so you can still purchase it on physical. All solo content will continue to be playable after support ends, and multiplayer will also remain available. So you can still play the game. You just can't buy it
but they're
online.
like, yeah. That's still weird though.
Buy it on physical,
Why?
like the good people of this world should always do.
And that's fair, but I just think it's weird still. But whatever. Cool. That's great. I did want to throw in a little joke
Hit me
with
with it.
this Twitter thing that they had. The first link they put up was completely broken. And everyone was from like, wow, it's as broken as the game is. Oh great.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, we're gonna announce that we're closing our game down, but we're broken. And then people were just absolutely like, it's fantastic. Like, yeah, you can't even make a game, you can't even put a link out correctly. So yeah, no, this is cool. I'd like to see maybe I'll jump on my Xbox version finally during 31st and see what all the skins are that they're gonna, I
Well,
guess all of them are gonna be free.
I don't
So
think it's gonna be turned off on the 31st. I said after that they will be turned off. So I don't know if it's like gonna be on the 31st or whatever, but I'll be keeping my eye open. So when it does go off, I'll just jump on and just buy everything. I guess not buy everything, just click on everything.
yeah.
So I bought a lot of skins from there. So I haven't spent too much money. I've actually been pretty good by just using like some gift cards, some gifts here and there, using the in-game currency that you can get and earn if you want to grind it out. So I've done pretty good. I think I maybe only spent an extra $20 on the game outside of what I spent to get the game. So done fairly well. But yeah, no longer goodbye, sayonara, Marvel's Avengers. We knew this was coming a year and a half ago. So, but it is official now.
Yeah.
Stay tuned. We do have some more Crystal Dynamics news at the end of Around the Point to talk to you about. So, but a second wrap up story from last week. Farewell, finally, to Google Stadia. DJ and I reported this a while ago. When the story first broke that Google Stadia has closed down. But now is official as of this date. It's shut down on January 18th. So if you guys are listening to this now, it's a little bit outdated, but I still want to put it out there. And it was also important that there was one final game released for the service called the Worm Game. It's very much inspired by the classic game Snake. It's not the most advanced game graphically, but it does have multiple levels, the ability to change the color of your worm, and 4 modes: campaign, arcade, multiplayer, and build. So if you got a chance to check out the Worm Game on Google Stadia before the service officially closed down, shout out to you. Shout out with being with Stadia for all this time. Good on you for getting free games over this past couple years because they gave you all your money back. You won the system, ladies and gentlemen. Also, one cool thing to note, Google actually did something good for once. That was surprising. So with the closing of Google Stadia, a lot of the fan bases had been begging, finally, had been begging Google to unlock the ability for the controller to connect through Bluetooth so they could just regularly play it on the PC or anything that has a Bluetooth connection. And Google finally said, all right, here you go. We're still making some money out there. So you can go play with your Google Stadia controller on your PC or on anything that connects with the Bluetooth connection. And from what I hear, the controller is actually really, really well made and it works really good and it's comfortable. So I might, in a little bit, wait for them to come down in price and see if I can go out and snag one and maybe just have it as like a relic of a time begotten. So, anything you got to say? Farewell to Stadia, Mr. Birdman.
Good riddance. That's all I gotta say. Happy this didn't become a trend, but I will say I'm happy that other companies have learned from their mistakes and are making far better products because of it. So, I guess it did do something positive out of all of it's done. And I guess maybe the controller. Again, I don't really know. I've never touched the controller, so I don't really know if it's as good as people are saying it to be. It looks like an Xbox controller. So if you like an Xbox controller, I'm sure it's the same damn thing. But who knows? And that though, yeah, it's goodbye. See ya. Google, stop making these dumb projects. Just focus on what you're good at instead of making these dumb projects and making them fail. So
I mean, Google Stadia had a lot of promise when it was coming out, but the moment that they announced that half the stuff wasn't going to be there at launch, it was dead on arrival, man. Like it was,
and also just charging full price for a game after making people pay to have their
a service.
thing
Yeah,
was just horrible idea. God awful. They should have went for like a Netflix model, very simple, which basically is what Game Pass is doing. You just literally have like a Netflix model. You make people pay, and you get the games, and then they can like shuffle them in and out. That would have
yeah.
been a much smarter idea. I don't know anyone I've ever talked to who's ever had a Stadia, so I've never used one before, but everything I've seen has just been more negative than positive.
But
And obviously that makes sense.
That's what you get when you hire the man that developed the Xbox TVR. So
That's true. That is true. Yeah,
fucking
honestly.
Don Matrix, man. I really hope wherever he goes to
Xbox
next.
VR. The
No.
Xbox VCR.
Yeah, no, I said TVR, like, you know,
Yeah.
the TV, you know,
The
recording thing.
TiVo?
No, like, you know,
Or was
Dish
it
has like the
Replay?
TV, DirecTV has like the TVR that you can like record TV
Oh,
shows
yes.
on.
Yeah.
It's a joke I was trying to get at. Clearly, it didn't land that well, but that's okay. Uh, all right, let's get into the biggest news story of the week. And ladies and gentlemen, it could actually happen. DJ's wild prediction for the complete unraveling of Ubisoft could be unfolding before our very eyes. It probably won't happen this year, but there is a lot to go through. We have some things to joke about, some serious things to talk about, so let's dive into it. A couple weeks ago, Ubisoft announced they're going to be canceling 3 more unannounced games, and, you know, right on cue, they announced for the 6th time, also kind of the 7th time if you factor in one small little detail, delay that they didn't talk about at length. But so 6th or 7th time, Skull and Bones has been delayed. So, yeah, it's all fucked over there, isn't it?
Oh, dude, from what I heard, the reason why they delayed it time is because of the whole physical year thing, where this year since they didn't really have a lot, they're like, we'll just make this a failure of a year to make the next year a bigger year
Fiscal, not
by
physical.
releasing more. Sorry, I don't know.
Fiscal, not
But
physical.
fiscal?
Yeah, like financial.
said?
Fiscal year.
Fiscal year. Okay. Well, yeah, fiscal. Yeah. So then not this year, but the next one that they're going to be doing, the next fiscal year, they're releasing a lot more. So they're going to try and make that a little bit more to basically heighten the year a little bit more by having more come out and making this year's fiscal year more of a failure. So that's what I've heard. I don't know if obviously that's true or not, but it would make sense business wise to make their next year a little bit bigger. So who knows? I still think Skull and Bones is gonna be absolute dog shit when it comes out, and it'll probably last a couple months. Especially if I know Ubisoft and them when it comes to games that aren't doing well, they drop shit like it's nothing. So I wouldn't be surprised if Skull Bones actually did only last a couple months. Still with my original prediction, I'm still sticking with that. It's definitely gonna die pretty quickly.
Yeah, so did you watch that like 30+ minute video on Skull and Bones they put out?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I looked at it a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. It how do I want to put this? I don't know how I want to put this. The game to me honestly looks like, I mean, it's going to fail because it has such a bad rap and a bad name around it. This game is destined to fail. But if this game, let's say, was only delayed once or twice, and they only started showing it in say 2020 or 2021, this game looks harmless to me. It looks like just a whatever type of game. I don't think any of it looks generally bad or anything like that. But I know the game is going to bomb financially just because of the stigma around it. And especially, it just doesn't look like a full price game. But like overall, I think it just looks like a whatever type of game. It looks like, you know, a 6.5, 7 in my eyes on the scores. It looks like it'll be a fine game if this is what you're into. This is not even my type of game, so there's no way I'm going to play this. But if you are into this type of game that they're making here, there's probably some people that are generally excited about the idea behind it. But like I said, I'm trying to not be like a total dickhead about it, but it just looks whatever. Like, I don't think it looks terrible, if I'm being honest, if I take away my prejudices about it. Like, I just think it looks blah. It looks like all Ubisoft games. Look like they're going to get a 7 out of 10. That's what every single Ubisoft game seems to look like.
It just looks like the most bare bone pirate game of all time, is what it kind of looks like to me. Looks like it honestly kind of reminds me a lot of like a mobile game, especially with the way they sit there like become from a castaway person and build a crew and get all these things and get tons of money. And I'm like, dude, this kind of reminds me exactly of a mobile game. Like, it just the more I think about it, it sounds exactly like a mobile game. It sounds like have you ever heard that Mafia game? Remember that big meme that came out like when the Mafia game came out, where it's like level 1 mobster to level 100? That's kind of what it reminds me when I hear this game or even see it, because it's like you can't actually do any pirate stuff other than literally move your ship around and tell your crew to do stuff that you should be able to do in the game. Like Assassin's Creed 4 not only let you do ship battles, but jump from ship to battle, to gather treasure, to fight fortresses, and do it all yourself. This is literally basically a super cut down Assassin's Creed 4. That's pretty much what it is. It's literally just a super cut down Assassin's Creed 4, where literally the only thing you could do is be on a ship the entire time. And oh, wait, I'm sorry. You could walk around in hub areas. Sorry, that I forgot. A very key point to the game. You know, you can walk around with your character just in hub areas. Yeah. I can't believe they're even charging $70 too. That's just a crime. It really is. Like, this game definitely isn't $70.
Who knows?
At all.
Correct me if I'm wrong. They already canceled 2 unannounced projects along with that cancellation of Splinter Cell VR last year. So now they've canceled 5 unannounced games that were seemingly in development. And so that's just sunken costs. So, like, you're not making any money off the games that you've already spent. You're definitely not making your money back if you cancel it. Speaking of unannounced games, one of those unannounced games was apparently called Project Q, which was announced... Wait, that doesn't make any sense. Well, anyway, maybe this is something separate, but Project Q was also canceled. Apparently, it was announced in April of 2022. Wait, hold on. Speaking of games, it was canceled development on the game, which was only announced. Yeah, it was on other projects. So, let me tell you, this game sounded like a fantastic game. It was a team battle arena game that had several public testing periods planned that, of course, never came to fruition. A single image of the game was shared alongside its announcement, showing a handful of cartoon characters battling on what looks like New York City's Central Park. Yeah, sounds great. So a little bit of new... Sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean, it's even more crazy because remember the Ghost Recon game last year? The whole Battle Royale that they literally had completely built and ready. And then they're like, no.
Yeah.
Like, who? I mean, literally, we'll be getting into that soon. Like, dude, who was in charge of this shit? They just, like, literally threw so much money into it. At least release it. At least try to get some money out of it. But you're literally making entire games and then just saying, they're basically the Warner Bros. Of literally the gaming industry. Same thing for all this DC stuff, where just, like, they make stuff and then they eat it. Like the whole Batgirl thing that they supposedly had completely made. And then they said, yeet. Nah, we're not going to release it. So it's like, it's really funny because it's like, why waste all this money, time, and effort, and then not even just, like, don't even, like, straight up release it. Like, don't even, like, give it a try. Maybe they had something with the Ghost Recon Battle Royale. I mean, it didn't look great. I wasn't excited for it. But who knows? Some people maybe were. And maybe it could have done decently well. So I just think that's crazy.
Well, you asked who's in charge there. And we all know who's in charge there. Mr. Yves Guillmont, I think is the correct way to say that. He is also facing some backlash over what he said. After canceling 3 unannounced games and delaying the release of Skull and Bones for a 6th time, Guillemot told employees, "The ball is in your court to help get the $3 billion company back on track." The changes at Ubisoft were scraped up to major challenges in the industry, the underperformance of Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hopes and Just Dance 2023, and an upcoming restructuring for the publisher. On Wednesday, a report from Kotaku revealed that there was a company-wide Q&A held to address the news of the restructuring, where the CEO had this to say about the ball is in your court comment. He said, "I heard your feedback, and I'm sorry this was perceived that way." When saying the ball is in your court to deliver our lineup on time and at the expected level of quality, I wanted to convey the idea that more than ever, I need your talent and energy to make it happen. This is a collective journey that starts, of course, with myself and with the leadership team to create the conditions for for all of us to succeed successfully. When asked about what that restructuring means and the potential for layoffs, Yves Guillmont said, "It's not about doing more with less, but finding ways to do things differently across the company." He said that Q&A section appeared to go on for a little over an hour, with some employees saying that they still feel like management is out of touch with the lower staff level. No shit.
I mean, literally, it's been like that for years now, it seems like. So,
Hey,
yeah, I'm not surprised.
this is like a boss. This is like, say, if I was in charge of, let's just say I was in the charge, I was in charge of Target. I was running the Target that I work at, and I went up to, the guy who works at the tech desk for 20 hours a week. I'm like, hey man, balls in your court. We got to fix this shit. Yeah, not my fucking job to fix it. My job is to show up and to sell tech for 20 hours a week. That's my job. It's your job to fix it. Maybe don't make your studios work on Project fucking Q. How about that?
Yeah, yeah, like literally just let them do what they do. I honestly, one thing that a lot of people forget about, but I feel like the most passion project thing Ubisoft has allowed their creators to make was that whole Immortals Phoenix Rising. I feel like that was like the only thing I could think of because like you didn't hear a lot about it, but it seemed like the people that did make it were actually very interested in making that game. I still prefer the other name, the Monsters, whatever it was, but still,
Gods and Monsters.
yeah, that
Oh,
was so much better.
speaking
Way
of
better name.
speaking of Gods and Monsters, did you watch the announcement of all the DCU stuff with James Gunn? That is the name of their Phase 1, called Gods and Monsters.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, there's a 6-minute video out there where he announced all the new projects that they're working on within the DCU. And then he also did announce that the Batman 2 and Joker 2 are going to be separate, called Elseworld stories. But those will be coming in, I think, 2025. I believe they said both coming then. So, but yeah, no, so we got a new phase of the DCU starting next year with Superman Legacy. That'll be the
Nice.
beginning of Gods and Monsters. There's a new Batman movie. There's a couple of actually really exciting things, and there's a couple of what are you talking about things. But who knows? I like James Gunn. I have
I did.
I have some sort of trust in him, I guess. He is writing the Superman movie, so that makes me really excited. So although he said he was still working on writing it, I'm like, well, you just said the movie's coming out next year. That's not a lot of time, so you better fucking hurry up. But one more thing about Ubisoft. Just earlier this week, apparently there was a strike held at Ubisoft Paris where 40 developers gathered and stopped working. And I'm trying to read and talk at the same time. It's not working. Yeah, apparently they just said, fuck this. We're done. So
Yeah, did you see it was also funny because like they scheduled a strike, but then you know how France is. They actually already had another strike that was for like something about like the presidency happening the day they were going to schedule it, so they had to push it back. Everyone's like, "Yeah, France knows how to strike, dude," because they have scheduled strikes happening. Like that's crazy. Just thinking about that.
so yeah, I don't know, man. I don't really know where to go with the conversation other than like
It's
in
just sad,
in
honestly.
like look, obviously no company is too big to fail. But is there I don't know. Is there any way to save it? Well, obviously make good games, duh. But like, is there any way to right the ship outside of making good games? Obviously, get your fucking structure right. Figure out how to make games and make the right games. You built your company off the backs of, you know, single player, open world, narrative games, high quality, or at least, a consistently good to great quality. I used to always say I know what I'm getting with a Ubisoft game. I'm not getting anything spectacular or amazing, but I'm also not getting in anything like terrible or ass. So, and now I just don't know anymore.
I think the only thing that I can think of that could fix them is either they have a complete structure of their entire company and getting rid of the higher ups that have been bringing it down and bringing corporate greed, or secondly, let them keep failing to the point they're bare bones and then let someone buy them out. Hopefully, someone good that will actually turn them around. That's the only two ideas I have. Because yeah, I'm gonna assume they're probably gonna bring it to the point they're bare bone because clearly they still keep sticking to their guns, and instead of fixing anything, they just keep going downhill. They're not even like learning from their mistakes. They're just like, okay, well, we'll stay true to what we're doing and keep going with it. So yeah, I hope it's a good company that purchased them. I don't care if it's PlayStation or Xbox or even Nintendo, I guess. I just want someone good, not what's the company called? What's the big one that keeps buying everyone that is super greedy?
Oh, well, Embracer is one of them, but that's not the one you're talking about. You're talking about the Chinese one.
Yeah, the Chinese one.
I don't know who the fuck cares.
Yeah, I just hope
Tencent.
it's someone good.
Tencent.
Yeah, Tencent. Yeah, I don't want them buying it.
So, all right. Anything else you got to say about old Ubisoft out there?
Nope.
Did go on as long as I thought we were going to, but it really is just what the hell are you doing over there type of story. By the way, I screwed up the second link, so don't worry. I'll just read it to you on this next story. So. That's what I was trying to figure out over here for a little bit. I was like, oh damn, I fucked it up. So all right. Moving back into The Last of Us talk, it has been official. The Last of Us has been renewed for a second season, like we talked about earlier. Naughty Dog and HBO both announced that. Presumably, it'll focus, obviously, on The Last of Us Part 2, bringing in new characters like Abby, Dina, and Owen. Those are really fan-favorite characters, let me tell you. This is what Neil Druckmann had to say about the renewal. He says, I'm humbled, honored, and frankly overwhelmed that so many people have tuned in and connected with our retelling of Joel and Ellie's story. I keep saying Jolie.
Jolie. Yeah.
Connected with our retelling of Joel and Ellie's journey. The collaboration with Craig Malzahn and our incredible cast and crew and HBO exceeded my already high expectations. We have the absolute pleasure to be able to do it again with season 2 on behalf of everyone at Naughty Dog and PlayStation. Thank you. So, a little bit of information. The Last of Us is killing it out there in terms of viewership, engagement. Each episode has seen a significant growth of viewership, starting with episode 2, which went up 22% over the season premiere, which is the largest week-to-week increase in HBO's history. And then season 3 jumped up another 12%, making it the highest premiere so far of this season. So each and every week, more people are jumping on, more people are getting involved with the show, which I think is fantastic. I hope everyone out there is enjoying it. Like I said, this is since what the fuck's the dragon one? The House of the Dragon.
House of Dragons.
Yeah. Since that, this is HBO's second most successful show in the past decade. So everything seems to be hitting the nail on the hammer. A nail with the hammer. Whatever you want to say out there. So congratulations to Craig Malzahn, Neil Druckmann, Pedro Pascal, Bella Ramsey. Everyone out there is working on the show. In my opinion, you guys have pulled it off tenfold. So now I guess, again, we still got 6 more episodes. It could all go awry, but I highly doubt it will. So, but congratulations again to everyone over at HBO and The Last of Us and Naughty Dog and PlayStation Studios. Keep it up. Let's hope God of War and Horizon are just as good. Probably not going to be, but let's hope they are.
Yeah, I hope so.
So, all right. Next story we talked about a little bit with Hi-Fi Rush. Xbox was the first to the stand this year and gave us a developer direct earlier this week. I don't know if Logan sat down and watched the whole thing.
I did.
I did too. Okay,
Yeah.
So it's good. We can talk about it in detail. Let me put the timestamp in there. All right, go. So Xbox and Bethesda held a developer direct in January. Let's just go through real quick. Talk about.
Do you want to summarize real quick what you thought of the overall show?
I was gonna do it afterwards, but I guess we can do
Okay.
it before. So I don't really care how we do it. So, but if
I just want to.
Sorry.
Oh.
Okay. Overall, I thought it was fine. The games were good that they showed. I liked the lineup that they had. Obviously, seeing Redfall, seeing Forza, and seeing the surprise of Tango Gameworks' Hi-Fi Rush. The games were fine. I don't like this format that Xbox does. I don't love all the talking This wasn't as bad as it has before, but it's still like people come on the screen, talk for, 2, 3, 4 minutes, and I just check out sometimes when that happens. But that's just, it wasn't as bad as it's been. There was a couple years ago where we had like 2 hours of this, so this one was only 35 minutes, something like that. But I did think the games, there was a good lineup that they showed. I just I'm not in love with the format. It's not bad in any way. It's just not my favorite format to show things off. But I'd say
I
3 out of
personally really
5
like this.
in
Oh,
terms of
go on.
format. I'll say 3 out of 5 for me in terms of format. But like, again, the games are good. So
Yeah, I personally think this is the best one they've done so far because again, I think it's a lot more concise than they ever used to be. They kind of kept with the same theme. They didn't change it up a lot. They didn't do too much to get it away. I think it was good because it actually was very helpful to explain some other games, especially Redfall, that needed a lot more explaining for a lot of people out there because which is fair because I mean, I'm not gonna lie, even the developers themselves during the show were all like, yeah, this game a lot of people don't even know what it is. And we haven't really explained that very well. So I kind of like this because it gave a little bit of background for the developers, and then also they got a chance to explain the game. And I don't think it was too excessively long. I mean, again, the entire thing was 40 minutes, 40 something minutes, and I thought they did a really good job of both jumping to actual gameplay, not showing freaking stupid cinematic trailers. I swear, I really wish we would get to a day to where those just go away because I don't like cinematic trailers. Like, great, cool, you made that, beautiful, awesome, but where's the game? I want to see the game. So this was great. Overall, I give it a 4 out of 5. It's not perfect, but I think they are definitely getting to where they're like closer to like the Nintendo and the PlayStation on how they do their show. They're a lot more concise. Very interesting. Also, shout out to the cinematography. God damn, dude, that was beautiful. The way that they are doing the camera and everything, it looks super good. And the lighting they're doing, fantastic. But altogether, very good. We'll be getting into the games. I will admit, some of the games I don't really care about, but that's not really their fault. They're trying to show all their projects, so it's
yeah,
really up to the people. I
like I
think the
said,
only game really that probably shouldn't have been there is Elder Scrolls Online, but I guess they had a small announcement to give out, so I guess that was
yeah, just
whatever.
just a small little update. And like we
Yeah.
always say, every single show that's ever done, there's going to be something or a couple things that we personally, you and I, don't like or aren't vibing with, but it's probably for somebody out there. So I don't usually take too much away from that unless there's like an overabundance of just dull things. Then I start taking away. But like throwing Minecraft Legends in there, throwing Elder Scrolls, I don't care about them too much from my own perspective, but I know there's people out there that like it, so I'm not going to take that away from them. So let's just start at the top. We'll start with what we already talked about, I guess. Yeah, they announced Hi-Fi Rush at this. Came out like an hour after, I think. So hold on.
5 hours.
Was it
Sorry
5 hours?
about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know, but yeah, the game immediately looked amazing. I thought it looked amazing, and turns out that it is amazing. So good on that. Congratulations, Tango Gameworks out there. All right, let's start with Redfall. Redfall got a big in-depth look at what this game's all about, coming on May 2nd. And I don't know, man. I just I I don't know. I don't want to be like mean or anything like that, but I just think it looks what it looks fine. Like I I don't think it looks that great in my opinion, but I don't think it looks bad either. So I'm kind of stuck. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Everything they've shown hasn't been like mind. I'm still semi excited to play it and try it out. I'm actually more excited that they're not doing the whole what everyone assumed was Left 4 Dead format because it kind of looked like that and it really had a perfect setup to kind of be like that, but it's not, and I'm kind of happy about that. I don't think we need any more Left 4 Dead clones. I'm kind of done with that now. Um, I prefer what they're doing. They're kind of going for what, in my opinion, is the Far Cry format, where you got like these like section of the maps, and it's like this one big open world, but there's like a bunch of side quests you can do. There's obviously a main story to play through, and then you can play either single player or up to 4 player co-op. So I'm still very interested in this game, obviously, because it's coming to Game Pass. So why not? And I guess I'll have my opinion there. But so far, I think it looks fun. Does it look as good as their other games? I don't know, but I guess we'll see when it comes out. Because again, I'm not gonna lie, yeah, the trailers aren't like. I think it looks really cool. World looks pretty interesting. It looks like they got a lot of environmental storytelling going on, but some of the combat scenes and the way they make it look doesn't make it look as great as it probably could have been. But who knows? I don't know. I guess
Yeah,
we'll
I
see when it
mean,
comes out.
Arcane's always been great at world design and environmental storytelling, like going back to the first game, Dishonored. I've just never really truly vibed with any Arcane game. I liked Dishonored. I didn't love it. Never even played Dishonored 2. That game that I always forget that you played that, in my opinion, is wildly overrated. But, oh, fuck.
Deathloop.
Deathloop, yeah.
Also, Prey. They also made Prey as well.
Yeah, Prey. I didn't even try that out. I thought about it. It looked interesting, but and Deathloop haven't jumped on board with that either. So I guess I haven't played a lot of them, but I don't vibe with a lot of the things that they do, and I don't. I've never truly like fell in love with their combat loop. Though there's a huge audience out there. There's a lot of people that swear by Arcane. This is, I think, the second official game coming from Arcane Austin. The first one being Prey. The other studio makes Dishonored and Deathloop. So we'll hear from them probably in like 3 to 4 years. So, but yeah, I just not fully vibing with Redfall. Don't think anything looks bad or anything like that. I just kind of shrugged my shoulders at it. I was like, it's probably not a day one for me. It may be a never for me, but it doesn't mean I think it's gonna be bad or anything like that. So, all right. Minecraft Legends got an official release date in April, and they detailed a little bit on the PvP settings for it. What do you think about this one?
You know, um, it doesn't look super interesting, but I gotta say, I do think it's very interesting and honestly kind of unique that they're I feel like with the whole other Minecraft game that came out, the Diablo basically clone, they
Dungeons.
didn't really truly hit that like Minecraft, like it wasn't Minecraft. This one, I feel like they're kind of going back and they're actually trying to connect it more with the name and with the fact that they're bringing procedurally generated maps into the combat. So every time you play, it's completely different. And the way also a lot of building your own bases. There's a whole base building mechanic and everything with like sieges. And honestly, I was like, it's kind of cool. Like, like I didn't really focus on it super hard because I didn't think much of it. But after watching a little bit more of it, I'm like, it's actually kind of cool. I think the Minecraft name makes it look bad because of how popular it is, and now kid game now, so everyone just looks at it as a kid game. It doesn't look at it as the same as it used to be. I actually think out of all the side crap that they made with Minecraft, this looks probably the most interesting. I don't know if I'm going to play it day one. I'll keep my eye on it, but I will say I do like the whole base building mechanic that they're doing. I kind of like that. It's kind of cool because you can really make things your own custom way. And there's like a lot of strategy with that, and also the fact that the entire worlds are procedurally generated, kind of like the actual Minecraft. That's cool. So I'm actually surprised by that. I think again that's cool. I feel like that's unique. I don't know if that's unique because I've never played another what even style game is this? Is it real time strategy or I don't know what it's called. But here it is. It's action strategy. That's what it's called. I don't even know. But basically, yeah, it's real time action strategy game. It looks interesting. So I guess we'll see.
All right, we will see indeed. April 18th, the release date for that one. Next up on the list is I lost my train of thought. Forza Motorsport got a new gameplay trailer. I will have to say, yeah, I mean it's Forza. I can't wait. I'm excited for it. Turns out I gotta still wait for whenever because they still have not put a release date on this. That was my only real like super disappointment with this. Is still no release date. It just says sometime in 2023. So that's when I guess we will get to play this game. So who knows when? Hopefully, I know the rumor out there is it's summer. If it was summer, I feel like you maybe would have said that. So I'm thinking maybe this may get pushed to later in the year. Highly unlikely it gets delayed out of 2023. That would be ridiculous. But yeah, if you like Forza, this looks fantastic. I think it's beautiful. Over 500 cars. The fact that your customization makes meaningful changes to the way the car sounds and the car react, and the way the car sounds and the way the car drives and reacts to the road. I mean, those are just, you have to have them pretty much in a modern day driving simulator. So I don't have a whole lot of detailed things. I mean, it's Forza. It's a racing game. Forza's great. There's never been a bad Forza, so this isn't going to be a bad one either. I just really want to know when I'm going to get to play it. So I was a little let down by that. But other than that, everything looked fantastic. So
Yeah, looks pretty cool. Again, I'm not a big racing fan, but I did used to like the Forza games quite a bit. I think the only two I've ever really put time into is Forza 1 or Forza 2 on the original Xbox, and then Forza 5. I think that's the only two I've ever played. And I heard Forza 5 was technically a disappointment compared to the rest of them, so I don't really know. But I would like to get into these kind of games, but I just find them so boring. So I don't know.
yeah, I mean, like I said, you're not really a racing guy, so I wouldn't worry about
Yeah.
it. You don't like cars. You don't like the detailing of cars. You don't like to get into the nitty gritty of that. So, like we've always said, it's fine to not be into something that's good. So, all
Yeah.
right, last up was the Elder Scrolls Online. Got a new update and some new information. I think the biggest thing to take from this is that all 20 of the previous chapters and DLC will become free to play for a limited time. So you can jump into any of those you want throughout the game. I don't remember exactly when they said that was going to be, but if you're an Elder Scrolls Online fan, I would have to guess you've probably played most of them. But if you haven't, you can jump in now, free of charge, check out everything the game has to offer, and then decide if you want to get it or not. So I know you said this one is the one you don't really care about, so
I played it. It's okay. It's not like bad or anything, but it's just more I think my biggest disappointment is like as an MMO game, I find it very annoying that like they add all these like quests, side quests and all that, and some of them are kind of fun. But you can't play with a friend. But yet your friend can be there with you. So like if you accept a quest in this game, they also have to accept the quest at the exact same time. So you're basically playing the same quest, but in two separate timelines. But instead of just playing together and doing the quest together, I don't know why they didn't just do that, but it's whatever. It's an okay game. I mean, obviously, it's pretty fun. The graphics are actually pretty impressive at times. It's cool seeing these worlds in different ways, but obviously, is it as good as normal Elder Scrolls? No, it's not as deep. And then honestly, you could do so much more in Skyrim than you could in this game. So
all right.
that's all I got. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. I'm reading, so all right. Number 6 on Around the Point. I just have to say, is the day before even a real game, or is it just one big lie? Earlier this month on January 20, I guess earlier this week on January 25th, fantastic. We're just gonna say fantastic. Fantastic. They're missing the A. I don't know how to say that, but the developer behind the, I guess technically long-awaited day before MMO has announced that the game will be delayed 9 months to November 10th now instead of on March 1st when it was going to come out. Apparently, it's because some kid in Korea scooped the trademark before, I guess, they filed it. I don't know. There's a lot of weird shit with this when you do a deep dive into it. They say that it was still available, but they hadn't filed for the trademark. And then when they went to file it, it wasn't there anymore. But then when you look at when the trademark was filed, it was like November of 2021 when the trademark was filed. So they didn't even try to file for the trademark until 2 months before the game came out. And I don't know. there is a bunch of weird shit. You can go on a roller coaster ride reading if you want to go on the internet and look up things about this. But I haven't really talked too much about you with it, Logan. I know this is something that you've not been really anticipating, but you've paid attention to. So I want to see if you've done any of the deep dives on what's going on with this and what your take is on whether the day before it's just one big freaking like Ponzi scheme or whatever, or it's actually a real game that will come out on November 10th.
I honestly think it's kind of just a lot of a big lie. You know, it every time they've so if you really look deep into this, and I wasn't ever really super interested in this game because ever since the first ever gameplay showcase, I already knew this game was bullshit. It looked so excessively good, but a lot of the things when you really look deep into it is insanely fake, super scripted, and just looks bad. It's kind of like the whole Ubisoft thing they used to do, where they like showcase something, but there's a lot of
I was gonna
lies
say it
in the
very much,
showcase.
yeah, it very much reminded me of like a day one Division showcase.
Yes, yeah. I mean, still Ubisoft. I mean, still Division still got pretty dang close, decently close. But I don't think they were even this game is close because like this game, the more you look at it, the more it does just seem like it's not real at all. Because every time they showcase this game, they're always doing advertisements for other games. Every single time. I don't know if you noticed that. And every game that they've ever developed has been dog shit. Like, look up their history. Every game has been an absolute failure where they would release it. It's in a super buggy state. They would work on it for a little bit and then drop support on it. And then they'll do the same thing over and over and over again. Sound like Ubisoft, don't they? And they just keep doing that. And they just all they ever do is advertise other stuff at the showcase. It's almost like they're using day before as just one big advertisement for all their things. Like they even have a whole advertisement for during this game, which basically barely any of the game, more just them advertising this whole basically Microsoft Teams that they made so people would use it. So again, it honestly makes it more and more seem like this game's fake. And if you watch all the gameplays and everything, it looks so bad. Like the more you look in like deep into like a lot like the script, the how scripted they are, how bad some of the animations are, some of the like the more and more you check the game from the beginning into where it is now, a lot of like the gun effects are just really bad. The gas station supposedly that they showcased in the last one is basically a carbon copy from the new Stranger not Stranger Things, Strange, what is it called? You know that awesome game that's like Telltale that we really like, with the girl that could that can like go back in
Life is
time.
Strange.
Life is Strange. The new Life is Strange game. They have a gas station in it, and they literally this gas station in this gameplay trailer is a carbon copy. Like, go watch the gameplay on it. This is unbelievably, basically a carbon copy of that gas station. So yeah, I really don't believe this game actually exists. I don't think it was ever coming out March 1st because again, no one believed it really because it just looks so fake. Like they barely showed any gameplay for it. Every time they showcase it, it looks so unbelievably fake. This game just looks like it's never coming out. And honestly, I don't know if they can even make a game as good as they're trying to showcase because clearly if they're past with every other game they've ever created has been absolutely horrible. It doesn't even come close to what they showcased in that gameplay trailer. So I honestly truly believe this isn't real, or they're just showcasing like an engine, not an engine, but like an engine kind of thing or whatever. And then by the time they actually showcase the real game, it's going to look absolutely horrible. So I guess we'll see.
It's gonna look
But
like Risen 3.
I don't believe. Yeah, it's gonna look really bad. I'm
Yeah.
sure.
If you don't know anything about Fantastic, however you say that, they made the wildly popular games called The Wild 8, Radiant 1, and Prop Night before the day before. And if you look at those two games and then you look at day before, yeah, total bullshit. Prop Night
Yeah,
came out
it's
in
bullshit.
2021. Mm. For those of you that don't know,
There's a lot of
this game was already delayed one whole year to get to
Mhm.
March, and then it's delayed another 9 months because of this copyright claim. And for
and they
those,
use a lot of like volunteers game too. They keep
oh
going with
yeah,
this like, oh yeah, here's our
and
like
did they like ask for volunteers at one point in time too to
yes.
come help finish the game? Yeah. Anyway, so if you want to hear for
Yeah,
some
they're
reason what
asking for free workers to work.
yeah. If you want to hear what Fantastic has to say, they put out a press release. It says, "Dear fans, right before the release, Steam blocked our game page at the request of a private individual because of the name the day before. As you know, our game was announced in January 2021. At the time of the announcement, the day before game trademark was available. After the announcement of the game, the above-mentioned individual filled out an application before us to register the game trademark the day before in the United States. Previously, we were not aware of the existence of claims. We found out about this only on January 19th, 2023, when we received a complaint from him and a request to contact him. Now we find out all the circumstances of the incident, and we will definitely solve everything. We previously planned to post a lengthy gameplay video later this month, but we'll have to sort this issue out first. We'll post a video as soon as possible. As a result, we have made the difficult decision to postpone the launch to November 10th, 2023. We understand this may disappoint many of our fans. However, we want to ensure we release the best possible game. Our 100% focus remains on the game itself and how to deliver you the best game possible. Thank you, and we hope for your support." I want to remind people out there that they found out about it on January 19th. They announced the game January 21st, 2021. 2 years. The trademark was filed November of 2021. So you're telling me they didn't try to file for a trademark at all?
Also,
until January?
Also, how long does it take to change a name?
Yeah, you could just,
You could go on Photoshop, 2 seconds.
You can go the
make
day
a
after.
name. Yeah, the day after. Trademark it, done. Boom.
Yeah, this is
horseshit, dude.
This is total
it doesn't
bullshit.
Take 9 months. It does not take 9 months to change a name. So it means this is just a basically big bullshit lie so that they can just keep pushing this game back. Yeah.
Keep getting that pre-order money.
Yeah, I hope it's not up for pre-order. I don't think it is. I know it's. I think it supposedly
No, it's
made
like
it to the most wishlisted
Yeah.
game on Steam. Which I gotta say, people, do not believe this. And I mean this like full-heartedly. I've been burnt on a lot of games in the past. A lot. I'm sure Mike has as well. This game gives all the red flags. Every single red flag that exists, it's up. It's up. There's not a single green flag to go for this. It's all red. Do not get this game. Don't wishlist it. Don't give them money. This game looks like a joke. It's going to be a joke, and it's just one big scam. And clearly, if you look at their history, it's bad. So I don't expect this game to ever either come out, or if it does come out, it's not going to look anything like what they showcased at all. So, yeah. Want to get that out there.
All right. Number 7 on Around the Point. Originally, the story was just going to be talking about how Tomb Raider, a new Tomb Raider TV series, is now in the works at Amazon from the Fleabag writer, which I guess Fleabag is a good TV show. People tell me it is out there. I've never seen it, so I don't know. But there's an update on it. Apparently now Amazon has completely bought the rights to Tomb Raider from the Embracer Group, who bought it from Square Enix earlier last year. Or maybe it was late last year. I don't remember. It doesn't matter. But so now Amazon completely owns the rights to both the Tomb Raider TV, movie, and game series. And we found out a couple weeks ago that Crystal Dynamics was making the Tomb Raider game, being published by Amazon, not being published by the Embracer Group, who we all thought owned the franchise at that time. A lot of weird shit going on. Pretty much it boils down to Embracer bought a bunch of shit for $300+ million from Square Enix, and then sold it, and then sold Tomb Raider for $600 million to Amazon. So I guess props to you, Embracer.
Profit.
Yeah,
that's profit.
You spent
double.
zero money and sold it for twice as much. So
that's insane.
Props to you. I don't know whether that's smart business or bad business. Well, it's good business, I guess, by Embracer. Don't know if Amazon spent too much or Square Enix. Well, definitely Square Enix sold it for too little. But so yeah. We now have a new owner of Tomb Raider. Amazon, as we all know, we've talked about it, is desperate to get into the video game market as much as they can. They have that MMO, the New World. They tried a game before that. I don't remember what it was. They got their Luna, their streaming service out there, and now they got one of the better single-player action-adventure game franchises that we have out there in Tomb Raider, and they're making it all one big thing with TV, movies, and games coming out. So what do you think overall about Amazon now owning Tomb Raider?
I really don't know. I don't really know if I don't really if Tomb Raider even has any hype anymore, you know? Like, I don't know. I'm not really super excited for whatever they're gonna create because, like, I feel like Tomb Raider has been kind of I don't know, I feel like it's oversaturated. I mean, it's not used anymore as much, but, like, I just don't see them getting much hype unless their game is gonna be absolutely phenomenal and somehow beat the new trilogy, which was the Tomb Raider whatever 1, Tomb Raider what's the second one called?
Rise, and
Oh,
third one's called Shadow.
yeah, Shadow, yeah. So, like, unless they're making a sequel to Shadow, I guess they could keep it going. That could make sense, but I don't know about a show. It could be good. Who knows? I'm not really super excited for it, to be honest. I've kind of been burnt out of Tomb Raider myself. I think the only one I really liked was the Tomb Raider one back in 2012 or whatever, the new game.
Yeah, the
Uh,
reboot.
yeah, I like that game quite a
I
bit.
believe it's
Rise, I was okay
2013,
with. I
but
never beat Shadow, so
I beat both Tomb Raider and Rise of the Tomb Raider. I started playing Shadow last year, but I got distracted because go figure. So
yeah,
I pulled a Logan. So
yeah, that's what's happening with Witcher. So,
get back to The Witcher, man. Don't get distracted.
dude, it's hard.
Quit
Especially
starting up
not
new
well,
games.
dude, next week I'm sorry, it's gonna be a while because I got Hogwarts Legacy coming out. So
Yeah,
obviously
since you
that's
pre-ordered it,
all I'm gonna be focusing.
you can play it on the 7th. I'm going to pick mine up on the 7th. So I just realized I got 6 days to get through Dead Space and play a little bit of Fire Emblem. I'm not too worried about getting the Fire Emblem. I can jump back and forth between that anytime I want. And it's definitely
Yeah.
something I can play like when Peyton's playing Hogwarts because we're going to play it together at the same time. So, but yeah, I really enjoy Tomb Raider. I've liked most of the games. I've been around since the beginning. Haven't played every single one, but I played all the rebooted trilogy. I enjoyed the movie that came out, even though a lot of people didn't. I thought it was perfectly fine. Didn't think it did anything detrimental or anything like that. A TV series though, I'm not super on board with a TV series. I think again, Tomb Raider fits a lot more into like a movie, like a grand epic, like Uncharted or well, Tomb Raider, I guess. Oh, National Treasures. There we go. That's what I was looking for. Um, and then we all know the new National Treasure TV show isn't good. So I don't know
Yeah.
how well this style of adventure, in terms of like the treasure hunting, works in a TV series. We'll see if Amazon pulls it off. I've been saying for a while. I think Amazon makes really high quality TV shows. I've seen not everything they put out, but I've seen a lot of other stuff they put out, and I usually like most of it. So we will see. All right. Final news story is one we threw in there for shits and giggles. Logan, take it away.
So some people out there saying that Dead Space has gone woke. Um People don't know what woke is. It's basically I don't know, like it's basically trying to look at basically like a company looking at trends and like like what people are saying out there or what the popular trends are and everything, like I don't know, like changing people's race or making everyone gay or lesbian or stuff like that.
I would say,
Well,
when people say woke, they're talking about the forced integration of socio-political ideas into
yes,
pop
yeah,
culture and multimedia.
yeah.
That's a very
So
academic description of it.
some people are very upset that like they changed some of the side characters that you probably would barely even see for a few minutes to a different race. Like I don't even know her name because probably most people don't even know her name or even the guy's name in the original. But there was a one of the co-pilot. of the ship
Yeah,
that you get to meet Shimura. She it was a guy with a mustache, and they changed it to a black woman. And people are like, "That's woke."
and doesn't she have a girlfriend or something?
Kendra, I believe, the one girl, the other engineer, she says a line where she talks about that she has a girlfriend.
Yeah.
And again, that offended people and making people think it went woke.
I want to
And
point
even
people out that both of these characters take up approximately 10 minutes of a 12 and a
yeah,
half hour video game, and it's woke.
yeah,
Shut the fuck
yep.
up. I'm so done
And
with
then
I'm so done with
even
people,
more
dude.
so, there supposedly is a bathroom in the game that you come across, and it's why can't I think of the word for it? But basically it's for women and men. And if you have any kind of pronouns, I guess. And people are also saying because they changed the bathroom. It's woke. Dude, oh people. I love it. This is so dumb. We wouldn't have put the story. I was the one who advocated to put the story in here, but I just think it's really funny. It's really dumb. It's, by the way, this isn't a lot of people. This is like a very, very small, probably like 0.2% of people that actually even know Dead Space exists that literally are, saying this crap on Twitter, by the way.
Yeah.
Which is
Like I said, shut the fuck up out there, people. It's annoying.
yeah.
If you're that sensitive to this stuff, maybe look within yourself and fix your problems. So, it didn't even register on my scale. Like I just heard the line, I'm like, oh, cool. Here's a girlfriend.
Yeah, there's also a lot of
Who the fuck
people
cares?
offended by the fact that they aged Nicole and made her look a lot older. But if you actually look at the voice, if you notice all the changes in the game, they actually change all the characters to look like their voice actors.
Yeah,
And
Isaac looks
so
much
I
more
think
like he does.
now that I know that, like it makes sense. Like
Yeah.
it looks good.
Isaac looked much more like he does in Dead Space 2 and 3, which did the face scan of the guy who voices him. And, obviously in the original, Isaac didn't have a voice. He was a silent protagonist, so now he talks. So I guess that's
Which is
woke
a
too.
pretty big difference in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty huge.
That's definitely
So,
woke. You have a guy who used to be mute, but now he talks. How insensitive of us.
that's
So,
pretty woke.
before we move on to LTR, I thought this was funny. On this webpage, as you pulled up, there was a poll off to the right-hand side about what your most anticipated game release of February 2023 is. I want you to guess which one wins. Atomic Heart, Octopath Traveler 2, Horizon Call of the Mountain, Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe, or Like a Dragon Ishin. What do you think the most popular game and the most anticipated game of February 2023 is, according to the people who are on this website?
Horizon.
Kirby's Return to Dreamland at 44% of the vote.
Wow. Wait, let me see. Oh, I should have hit view results, but whatever. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. I guess.
Oh, hey, and Atomic Heart somehow made it in second. Don't know how.
21% of the vote.
I actually am pretty excited to play Atomic Heart. I will be playing that again day one when
Me
that
too.
releases.
There's some new drama out there about the development company, but I just don't care anymore. So, all right. Let's roll through LTR as fast as we can. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to LTR, also known as Let's Talk Reviews, where we go through what some of the critics are saying about some of your favorite games and some of the biggest games releasing out there, whether it be good, whether it be bad, whether we agree with them, whether we disagree with them, and just talk about maybe some funny incidences that happen with critical analysis out there. We start with Farwell Engage, which has an 81 on OpenCritic and matching it an 81 on Metacritic. Game Informer at the top end has a 9 out of 10. They say Engage's characters and social system never quite reach the high bar set by Three Houses, but it does surpass its predecessor in almost every other way. Players looking for deep customization, expertly crafted strategy, RPG combat, and a heartfelt story with adoration for more than 30 years of Fire Emblem history will find that and more in Engage. It's one of the most gripping games I played on Switch, and ultimately one that I struggled to peel myself away from. If Three Houses was an experiment with where Fire Emblem's social mechanics can go, then Engage is doing the same for the series, evolving combat and excelling just as much too. Then Nintendo Insider gave the game an 8 out of 10 and said, despite faltering in its plot delivery and the absence of meaningful decision-making, Fire Emblem Engage once again allows intelligent systems to demonstrate its unparalleled strategic balance and unquestionable dominance in the genre. It's a game that is lacking in heroic ambition in many ways. It isn't a game that is lacking in heroic ambition in many ways, evolving its own formula triumphantly beyond what was achieved with Fire Emblem Three Houses, but otherwise disappointingly falling short in other areas. GameSpot gave the game a 7 out of 10 on one of the lowest scores and said, while Fire Emblem's combat mechanics have never been better, Engage's story and structure lack the ambition of its predecessor. The result is a predictable and straightforward romp that's carried by its fantastic presentation and engaging combat, and contained within them are a one-dimensional apparitions that I think I skipped something. And although the Fire Emblem rings add a deep and satisfying wrinkle to the battles, the heroes contained within them are one-dimensional apparitions that leave a lot to be desired. If you're looking for a deep tactical RPG with some colorful characters, it will certainly scratch that itch. But beyond that, Fire Emblem Engage feels like a safe, straightforward entry in Nintendo's long-running series. I just want to pat myself on the back. I feel like I nailed my interpretations or my impressions for what other people are saying. Not that it matters, but I feel like I got it like straight on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, again, I'll say it. Fire Emblem, if you like Fire Emblem, you're going to like this one. If you only like Three Houses and that was your first one, this one's going to feel very weird to you because it is more traditional Fire Emblem than what Three Houses and some of the other ones introduced with the social mechanic. Mostly Three Houses is where I'm sitting at. So, any surprises you had with the score here?
No, I don't think so.
It scored a little lower than both you and I predicted. We predicted an 85. It started at an 83. It keeps dropping, so great. But it's now down to an 81. So
hey, at least it's not like we'll be getting into it soon. But...
yes, we will. But first up on the list, the next game, Dead Space Remake, has a 90 on OpenCritic and 89 on Metacritic. Here's what some reviewers had to say in one funny one. Noisy Pixel gave the game a 10 out of 10 and said, Dead Space is a brilliant and terrifying horror experience made better with this release. Everything you remember loving about the original is still here with added quality and updates that improve it for a new generation. While playing, I could feel my muscles tense and my hands clam up, desperately trying to use a healing item that I didn't have as I nervously rounded a corner. This will likely be something I share with all who play, no matter their past with the series. But even without the nostalgia, I can't recommend a better survival horror gaming experience than this. Game Informer gave the game a 9 out of 10 and said, rather than reinvent the wheel, Motive made Dead Space look nicer, play better, and preserve the core of the experience. Its new flourishes add to that enjoyment instead of subtracting. This remake respects and polishes up my memories of Isaac's first encounter with the Necromorphs without making me miss the original version. It also acts as a perfect entry point for newcomers since it feels on par with today's titles. I hope this excellent revision signals to EA that Dead Space has plenty of gas left in the tank and becomes a harbinger for more horrifying stories in the universe. And then, on the very bottom of the tier, I went to the very bottom to get this one. Push Square gave the game an 8 out of 10 and said Dead Space has been brought back in the most faithful manner possible, with the fantastic base experience still very much intact. EA Motive has expanded on it with new content, expanded areas, and more mechanics to help deliver on the vision of the game's original creators had 15 years ago. Compared to modern titles and other remakes from a similar period, Dead Space disappoints with visuals that fail to justify why it's a current-gen only release. However, it's still a great game to play in 2023, and new quests and mechanics provide more than enough reason to go back to make a survival horror classic. And then the one that I guess is technically the very, very bottom, Metro Game Central gave the game a 7 out of 10, and the only reason I put this in there is because the very first line made me laugh. An excellent remake of a not-quite classic horror survival game. Dead Space isn't a classic survival horror game? That's fucking news to me.
Nevertheless makes a convincing argument for the continuation of the series. What? It's not a continuation. Did you even wait a minute?
No, they're saying it makes a convincing. No, they're saying it makes a convincing argument for the continuation of the series. Like, it makes a good argument for the series to go on.
Okay.
But I really just cared about the first line. An excellent remake of a not quite classic survival horror. I didn't know Dead Space wasn't a classic survival horror game. Because I thought it was.
What is a classic horror to him?
I don't know. I thought Dead Space is hailed, at least in my eyes, as one of the best survival horror games of the last 20 years. But apparently I'm wrong.
2008, man. Like, that's pretty old. So.
No, he's just saying it's like
classic.
not a good, of a not quite classic. It's like classic is mean like, oh, like
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
not like old is what he's saying. He means like, it's not like how do I want to put this? Like, I don't know. Like Top Gun is a classic 80s movie, It's a good 80s movie.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying. Anyway, I don't know. What do you think about the way it was scored?
I mean, I think it's pretty good. I don't see anything wrong with it. I don't know if it's a 10 out of 10 game, but I will say that it is. I definitely would say that from what I've seen, it looks like it's a 9 out of 10 easily. So, but there's always those people that really, really love the game and they can put a 10 out of 10, like me. I've done my fair share of saying 10 out of 10. People probably don't agree with that. So, but other than that, yeah, I mean, no, I don't think it's got scored. Like honestly, I think it's pretty good. I mean, obviously the Metro dude was his thing was kind of a bad description of why he gave it a 7 out of 10. He didn't really explain why, but other than that, yeah, pretty good.
All right, and then bringing up the rear end, both metaphorically and physically, is Forspoken, also known as Forbroken. Apparently, it has a 69 on OpenCritic and a 66 on Metacritic. At the top of the scale, we have Easy Allies coming in at 8 out of 10. He said, "After all is said and done, Forspoken emerges as a solid new IP. It has its fair share of issues, but the longer you spend time in Athia, the more its world draws you in with its intriguing combat and the simple pleasure of freely crossing massive environments with spellbinding abilities. Luminous Productions is definitely onto something with this concept. It just needs a bit more focus and refinement. At the very least, Forspoken proves its worth on its own terms and demonstrates the potential to someday hang alongside Square Enix's staple franchises." Yeah, we'll see on that one. Push
Yeah.
Push Square gave the game a 6 out of 10 and said Forspoken should and could have been a great game. Should and could have been a better game than it actually is. Its strengths lie in its core gameplay, which is fast, fluid, and great fun at its best. However, unnecessary open world clutter hampers exploration, and the combat system only begins to hit its stride hours into the adventure. If you can push through a poorly paced story packed with desperately dull characters, then you might find enjoyment in Frey's fantastical abilities, which undoubtedly steal the show both in and out of battle. It's not quite the disaster that the memes would have you believe, but it's certainly not the PS5 showcase that was once promised either. And the Games Radar Plus gave the game a 5 out of 10 and simply said, Forspoken shines brightest when its protagonist is dipping, ducking, and diving along the generally striking world of Athia while casting a variety of spells. But the standard fish out of water fantasy story of Frey only subtracts from the experience. So it sounds like the parkour is really good.
Yeah, parkour and combat's okay, basically, like
Well,
serviceable.
yeah, what I looked into it a little bit, I always thought the parkour was really good, even for my time at the demo. I told you that when I played it. I think the parkour was really, really fun. And I said the combat felt clunky. So I said if this game has a good story, it will get a better score. And I thought it maybe would have a better story. It turns out it has a fucking worse story than I ever could have imagined. So that brought it down tenfold over what was, in my opinion, fine, all right to fine gameplay.
And
And
I
I
watched.
sorry, go
Go
ahead.
on, sorry.
I was gonna say I did hear that they fixed the whole lock on thing that I had massive problems with in the demo. That like when you lock on, you actually lock on, which hey, good for you. You figured it out, I guess. But yeah, no, I always thought the movement systems and all that from the get go to the time that I played the demo looked great, and then when I played the demo, they felt really, really good. But everything else just seems to land with a dud. So
Yeah, it's. I know I may have talked a lot of shit on this game and not been like a huge fan of it, but like it's even more insane when you really look at like where it started and what they were showcasing this game to look like, and then you see this. And dude, this game looks worse than Final Fantasy 15. Than Final Fantasy 15. Same engine, same everything. And a game that came out way back on the last gen consoles looks better than a only current gen game. That's
it
insane.
seems to be a
Like that's
trend.
mind blowing.
Arkham
This
Knight
game,
to Gotham Knights,
yeah,
Final Fantasy 15 to Forspoken.
yes.
Hey, by the way, Final Fantasy 15 is a beautiful game. It may not be a very great Final Fantasy game. It's a perfectly fine video game, but it's not a fantastic Final Fantasy game. But it looks fucking stunning, still to this day. So
Also, dude, look up videos on like someone having a 4090 trying. It's mind blowing how much power you need to run this game well. It's gross. Like this game, dude, I don't know what happened during did not optimize this game at all. But I also was like, okay, maybe graphics could suck. Maybe, yeah, I played games with graphics that are great, but I've loved them. But dude, I watched a lot of the story because I was curious. I just wanted to know. I was never really truly probably ever play this game, so I'll just watch some other people play it just to hear the story, just to see the story. Dude, it is fucking awful. It is awful. Like really bad. Basically, it's the whole trope of basically you hate the main character the entire time. The main character, dude, is annoying from the beginning of the game all the way to the very end, and she has no redeeming qualities. She doesn't become better. She doesn't try to change herself or be a hero like everyone kind of like how they were trying to make it seem. No, she just was a really horrible person that was all about herself and was really annoying with the most cheesy and cringy lines of all time. And it's like, dude,
It's like people try to make Kratos without understanding why we all love
yes.
Kratos so much. It's because he's a dickhead, but he always does what's good for everyone around him, and he does care. He may not like love everybody, and he may not like talking to people and all that, but he always goes above and beyond to help people. And he's never
And he,
like, and he's never an asshole. To well, no, okay, he is.
but
Especially
he
in the older games.
evolves.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like he evolved as a character, and a lot of people didn't like that for. I
Well,
think it's great. He
some
needed to evolve. He
some
didn't
people didn't
just
like it.
well, that's what I meant. I meant to say some people didn't like it. There you go. Some people. I obviously not a lot, but there are people out there that didn't like it, and I personally really liked it because it's different. It's him changing. It wasn't him being a jokester, He was like, haha, yeah, son, let's go kill these gods. Like he wasn't like that. He's like, I didn't move my mind. Or no, I moved that shit with my mind. Oh my god, he didn't do that either. So like, dude, like.
It's just I just don't know how this happened. Like you have the guy who wrote Star Wars Rogue One, also
Are you
wrote this game.
serious?
Yeah, that's what I told you. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Gary Whitta was one of the writers on Star Wars Rogue One, and he also helped write Forspoken. And like I know there's other people that are obviously involved, but like you have a guy who, I mean, I don't love Rogue One, but I do accept its quality. Like I don't think it's the best, but it's not anywhere near the worst of Star Wars at all. But like, how did he go from that to this? That's not the same writing. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just it's not just people try to capture who Kratos is. It's also this type of like modern fantasy writing where people try to be like Avengers style comedy where they have like this dissonance against like what's going on, and like they joke with each other and poke fun at each other all the time. You got your Iron Man esque dialogue and all that, and if you're not good at that type of writing, it sounds fucking terrible. It's like if you're good at that type of writing, you can make it work. If you're not good, it sounds like this. It sounds like this character, and I didn't even watch anything in the story, so I didn't care. Once I found out that the story wasn't good, I'm like, I don't. It's the only reason I would play this game is for a good fantasy narrative. I would play this game for no other reason than that.
And
So
there's like a lot of fanboys out there too that are like mad because people like seeing Hi-Fi Rush because Hi-Fi Rush just came out this week too, and there was a lot of fanboys getting mad that people liked Hi-Fi. The story was good, and it's like it's because Hi-Fi Rush knows what it is, where Forspoken doesn't. It's like they're trying to tell a serious story, but the entire time she's cracking jokes and saying the most annoying, dumb shit that doesn't even land. None of the jokes land. They're just like, oh my god, I moved that shit with my mind. Like, dude, I'm sorry. I know that line is over, but still, like, that's pretty much how it was the entire game. That line is a perfect example of how the dialogue is throughout the game. I watched a lot of the story because I was curious because I wanted to see why it was so bad, and I knew I wasn't probably ever going to play it because it didn't look that great in the first place. So I'm like, I'll watch some other people play it, and I watched a good portion of the story and the ending of the game because again, I wasn't going to play it. And dude, it's just bad. It's just so bad. Like it's really really bad. Like there's no sugarcoating it, and I'm surprised honestly. Easy Allies gave it an 8 out of 10. The audacity that this game looks so bad and it plays bad. The story's bad. The only thing that's good is the parkour and the combat's okay because I heard even on hard the AI is easy as shit to fight. Like it's so easy. So yeah, it's it's kind of disappointing. Even if I wasn't very excited for the first thing, I'm still disappointed because it should have been better. Especially with what you said, having the Rogue One director or whatever the writer for this, and then also the fact that it's made with the Final Fantasy engine that clearly looked a lot better on Final Fantasy 15, and then what they did with this is just like, ugh, I don't know what they did.
Yeah, I still want to separate Final Fantasy from this. Luminous made one Final Fantasy game that wasn't supposed to be a mainline one. It was supposed to be a spin-off of 13 that turned into the mainline one, and they named it 15. That's the only Final Fantasy thing they've ever worked on. I want to separate Final Fantasy from Luminous Production because they've made one middling Final Fantasy game that wasn't supposed to be a mainline one, but it turned into one. So the real Final Fantasy is coming in a couple months. I can't fucking wait. Oh my god. Well, that was weird. Okay. The rest of the reviews, Hi-Fi Rush, we've talked a lot about it. It is a 90 on Open Critic. Everyone seems to be enjoying it and loving it. Great, good on you. I might jump in and check it out. Probably not because I have no time at all. But Dread Templar also got a 73 and Power Core got a 68, rounding out this segment and this week's Let's Talk Reviews, also known as LTR. We're going to move it now to the final segment, which is out this week. These are the games that you're going to get a chance to check out in the coming week if you want to. Some of these games have already got reviews because we're late to the party, but that's the way the cookie crumbles, as old Jim Carrey would say. All right, on January 30th, Power Wash Simulator came out for PS4 and 5 and Nintendo Switch. Trek to Yumi came out for the Nintendo Switch. January 31st saw the release of Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition on Xbox Series X and S. Inculinati came out on Xbox Series X, on a Nintendo Switch and PC. Season, A Letter to the Future, came out on PS4, 5, and PC. Has a 78 right now on Open Critic. SpongeBob SquarePants, The Cosmic Shape, came out on last gen and I guess next gen by way of backwards compatibility, but it didn't say that. Nintendo Switch and PC, and it has like a 68. So apparently it's not very good.
Yeah, I'm happy I didn't put that on my fantasy, dude.
And then on February 2nd, one day from the day of recording, Chef's Life, a restaurant simulator, comes out on PS5 for Xbox Series X and S, Switch, and PC. Deliver Us Mars on PS4, 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. Life is Strange 2 finds its way to the Nintendo Switch. Tales, The Backbone Preludes on PC, whatever that is. And then The Pathless finally finds its way off of PlayStation and on to Xbox Series X and S and Nintendo Switch consoles. And that is your week. I guess SpongeBob fans out there, I hope you like it.
I need to look it up. I didn't even know it came out, to be honest. It's gonna. I'll have to look it up to see because they didn't really show a lot for it, other than it looked a lot just Battle Bikini Bottom, but a sequel.
It's gone up to a 7 out of 10. So.
Whoa, hey! So it wouldn't get negative points if someone put it on their fantasy. Woo.
Bro, 67 people have reviewed this game. What the fuck are y'all doing? Oh, look at that! Fire Emblem is back up to an 82 now.
Nice.
So it's an 82 now instead of an 81. So it keeps jumping around. But yeah, IGN gave the game a 5 out of 10. So
that's tough.
Damn.
That's a tough one. This
is a rough write-up. It says SpongeBob SquarePants, The Cosmic Shake is a bare-bones platformer that manages to be supremely boring despite its SpongeBob-infused charm. Damn. Get wrecked. Yeah, the reviews are all over the place. You got some 7s, some 8s, some 5s, some 6s. Looking to see what Easy Allies scored it because apparently they like to score games high. I like Easy Allies, but I feel like they got Forspoken wrong. But it is their opinion. You know what we need to do? We need to look up Jimquisition. What does he have to say about this? Let me look up Metacritic real quick. Metacritic. I always love Jimquisition's opinions.
Isn't that the one that hates on everything?
Yeah. SpongeBob SquarePants. What's this one called? The Cosmic Shake?
Yeah.
Why is this not popping up? Oh my god. This is why I don't use Metacritic. It sucks. Alright, well, this is annoying because I'm gonna be honest. Metacritic sucks. Also, why is SpongeBob one word and why is SquarePants one word? That's annoying. Those should both be two separate words.
Well, I think SpongeBob is it ever separated? I thought SpongeBob was just his whole name, SpongeBob. I think that's his whole first name.
Okay,
But
fair.
then,
But why is SquarePants one word?
because maybe that's his whole last name. I think. I don't know the lore. I
Neither
may have
do
watched the
I.
show, but I don't know the lore of why he's called SpongeBob SquarePants, other than the fact that he's, a sponge and they is SquarePants.
All right. Well, sorry, folks out there. Jimquisition has now blessed us with his review for SpongeBob
Dang.
SquarePants and the Cosmic Shake. Let's get on out of here, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, brings us to the end of our show. Everyone who's either been watching or listening, we just want to take this time as always and thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Without your support, we could not be doing what we're trying to do here on the XP Podcast. But please help us to continue to grow by telling everyone out there that you know who even has the slightest appreciation for all things pop culture that they have some new friends waiting to talk all sorts of fandoms with them. We would greatly appreciate it. Mr. Birdman, any last words?
As always, thank you guys for stopping by. Can't wait for next week because both me and Mike, and I don't know if anybody else is joining us, we will be talking about Hogwarts Legacy, hopefully.
Well, probably not next week, the week after. It comes out on Tuesday. I'm hoping to record before then.
Oh
Yes.
yeah. So
Yeah.
not the next one, just in case. So, but yeah, no, I'm very excited for next week. I'll probably talk a little bit more. We'll probably talk more about it during the next episode. But I'm very excited. Can't wait for Hogwarts Legacy to come out. I hope it's as good as I'm expecting it to be. Again, watching a lot of videos on it, and everything's looking positive so far. I'm still a little bit nervous. I got that nervous thing behind, like, way back, but I want it to be good. So, but other than that, again, as I said, thank you guys for stopping by. You guys will be hearing us on the next XP podcast. And also, I would like to shout out our Patreon Platinum member, Logan Leffler. As always, we appreciate your support each and every month. And also, thank you for the shout out, by the way. We did see your shout out on the good old Face of the Books. We do appreciate it. And also, we do appreciate anyone who stops by in general just to listen to us, maybe even giving us a like or a subscribe. We do appreciate in any kind of support whatsoever. And also, if you guys want to comment down below, maybe give some of your thoughts and maybe what you think of the episode 3 of Last of Us. As always, we love to talk down in the comments below. So, but yeah, you guys will hear us on the next XP podcast. See you guys.
Once again, thanks everyone for listening and following along with us. This has been another episode of the XP Podcast brought to you by all of us here at the Experience Point. I hope everyone has a great week. And as always, we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
See ya.